think abortion is evil. And this, I struggle with this. I struggle with them being like these liberal goddesses in execution, but then right wing, like judgmental people in reality. And I don't like two sided things like that. Usually the leftist who's vegan, who smokes drugs and has bisex and stuff, isn't gonna be an anti-choicer. And this, the only reason I'm speaking about it now, as the relationship has been long over, like friendship's over. The friendship's been over since last summer or something. Friendship's over, and I spoke to her recently again, but I don't know why she bothered, because we both know that like I'm not going to do unavailable people or unavailable women any longer. You understand? Like I did it with my best friends all of my life, and yeah, I slept with most of them, but I don't think it's fair. It's just not really fair to be in love with your best friend for 5 years while they resist sleeping with you. It's not really fair, and it's what I do. It's what I do to women. It's like a thing, an MO that I have. I pick some girl, I make her my best friend. I want to fuck the living shit out of her and make her my wife or whatever. And they can see this and they respond to it. They can see how much I love them or whatever. But they're not available for whatever reason. Maybe they're with somebody. Maybe they're pregnant. Maybe they're high. Maybe they're like extramarital sex scares them. Whatever the fuck it is. And but that did make it easier. Like last summer when I made the decision to never speak to her again, and I said, do not speak to me ever again. And I said that again recently, like yesterday. I said it again recently. I was like, I remember now why it was so easy. It's never been easy, like throwing the love of your life away on purpose or whatever. Not like on purpose, but just like giving up on the chance on purpose. That's not normal and it's not easy. But it was easier for me because it's like there was stupid religious stuff. I don't follow the same God. I'm not an anti-choicer. I'm not a vegan, but I am really, really pro animal rights, and I would go vegan, and I have been vegan for like 7 years of my life, and I like vegan more than I do eating meat and stuff. So we were compatible with that, but it's weird to totally go liberal and become like a vegan and stuff for somebody when they're like anti-choice, you know. Uh and I struggle with this, and so does she, I'm sure. Now her issue is you're fat, you're on drugs. I know it was, which is easy stuff. That's easy stuff. It's easy for her to make the judgment call and move on. I don't care. But like for me, it was like, I shopped you for 7 years and I found out year 6 that you're anti-choice. That seems fucking weird. Now I'm seeing this sort of stuff reflected in all these TikTok videos and stuff about like MAGA that hide their vote choice, or like from their significant others and stuff like this. It's weird. And I felt like, it just never came up. It just never came up. Abortion just never came up until 5 years later or something like that. But when it did, I was thrown for this crazy, crazy loop that I was like, wait, you're anti-choice? How I said it, I was like, you're pro-life? And this was a shocking thing for me. Because otherwise, the girl is essentially a Hollywood executive. She's as liberal as they get. She's essentially like a Hollywood executive. She has like, she has like, I don't want to talk about her because it's sort of like, I'm like giving away her secrets and stuff. But it was shocking to me. I was like, but you live the lifestyle of like this leftist hippie, How are you pro-choice or say anti-choice? Like, how are you anti-choice? You're basically a hippie. And it was surprising to me. And she's like, I don't know. That's the way I was raised. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to shame you for being a pro-lifer. That's cool. I don't care. It's your body. You do what you want. She was happy about that. But I don't like anti-choicers, And it was an issue for me. It sucks. It makes it easier. Like everybody I know that everybody around me is like, how did you land this girl? How did you land this girl? The dudes were all like, how did you land this girl? How did you land this girl? I don't know, personality, I treated her well. I don't know, it's not that fucking hard. I hit on her a lot. I loved her. I sent her love poetry and I meant it, you know. It wasn't that hard, you know. It's not that hard to be in love with someone. It's not that hard. It's not this like money thing or something where it's like, oh man, you landed the big fish or something. It's not that hard to be in a good relationship. It's not that hard. So like, but everybody was like, how did you land this girl? You're this fat meth addict who weighs like 400 pounds. How did you land this 130-pound, you know, fucking supermodel? How did you land her? And I didn't like how they kind of treated her like property, and that she was like this piece of gold that had fallen in my pocket or something. It's fucking disgusting. It's the same old like right-wing shit about fucking making women chattel. And I was like, I don't know. I treated her with respect and like she wasn't equal for a long fucking time. It wasn't hard, and you know. So and but then like last summer, I like, you know, I was sitting there and her boyfriend catfished me. I was sitting there and I was thinking about saying goodbye forever, and then you know what actually popped into my head was the day she told me that she was keeping her child. And I was like, why am I thinking about that? It should be that her boyfriend just catfished me, and I was thinking about that too. But something was eating at the back of my mind there for like a year, where I was like, I'm not so sure we were ever compatible in the first place. And that's crazy to say from the 400-pound ex meth addict dude, to say that my standard is not to date an anti-choicer. That's like my standard. I refuse to do. I've refused to do it all my life, and now it's an issue for me the way it's probably an issue for a pro-lifer to date a pro-choicer, you know. So that shit sucked too. And I walked into that one blind. I just gave my advice as I always do, and I walked into it blind, expecting her to just be like, well, you gave me sage advice and I'll think about it. But no, she was like, no, that's not an option. And I was like, oh no, I done fucked up here probably forever. And I regret telling her to get the abortion. I do. I wish I had actually just asked her what her beliefs were first. But I had assumed, it's a shitty thing, but the way that she acted and how much traveling she had done before the age of 20, you know what I'm saying? Like she left her hometown when she was 18 and a half or something like that. And she traveled all over the country to a bunch of different states and stuff. And she had that liberal queen thing going on in spades, from the beauty to the trans content creators that she watches, to the food and the astrology. She's like this leftist indigo child hippie. But someone in that small town, it must have been like her dad probably, or somebody, I don't know. Somebody got to her in that fucking small town when she was young and really convinced her that abortion is probably evil. And that's okay. I really don't care what her beliefs are about that. I'm not going to judge her about it. But it was an incompatible view. Then it becomes harder for me. I think, okay, she seems like she wants me to send a money gift really badly, but she's too classy to actually ask. And I know this is because she's got 2 toddlers and she's desperate. But she wouldn't ask, you know, and I wouldn't offer because I advised her not to do it. You know, and I hate being that level-headed friend because I'm the meth addict who, you know, was in the madhouse and stuff. I'm not the level-headed guy. I can't possibly be the level-headed person in this situation. I can't fulfill that role. It's like a gay person trying to act straight or something. I can't be that person that like, you know, I don't know. So I can't be, I'm not that person who will put up with anti-choice in my life. I've never put up with it. I'm not really down for even a woman to tell any other women what they can do or can't do with their bodies. And at the time, I told myself it wasn't that big of a fucking deal what she believed. It wasn't that big of a fucking deal that you know, that she didn't want to get the abortion. I don't care what her beliefs are, but when you add it all together, I got this feeling that there was like some kind of irresponsibility, and I couldn't put my fucking finger on it, and it made it harder for me to want to speak to her or be in her life. Not that I had judged her, but just that, like, something had changed where she was just desperate all the time, not for money, but just desperate. She had become kind of a desperate girl by her second daughter, because you could tell the amount of money it costs to raise those kids was like breaking not only her, but her, her fiance or husband or whatever they are now. And I was like, okay, I would have loved to have gone through this struggle with you, but I don't think we were ever compatible in the first fucking place. I don't know how we managed to live in the same house for a year. I mean, we're really close, compatible friends. We always really got along with each other really fucking well. I don't think we've ever, we had one fight the whole time I ever knew her. I had one fight with her when she was leaving. She left, because this dude threatened to kill her. And I wasn't stopping doing meth, and I wasn't like getting better or getting a job or bettering myself. I was just like trying to hit rock bottom and then go to rehab and then get back up again. That's what real drug addictions are like. You can't just pick yourself up. You have to actually hit rock bottom and stop doing drugs, and I know because I've done it like 5 times. So I wasn't really moving forward, and that is my fault. I was not. I was stuck in the fucking garage, still doing drugs, trying to figure out some hustles so I could make enough money to save everybody that I knew. And I was trying to be this big time drug dealer, and I was like trying to move across states and stuff and across state lines and shit like this. I was like blurring the lines and all this. And in the summer, I know that I know what I normally would have done, which is like keep chasing her, even though she's now had a child with a dude she's broken up with, and a child with a dude she's currently with, and just like not really my family. She's not my family anymore. She's not my best friend anymore. She's somebody else's. So that's okay. But when summer came around and it was time to have the big fallout fight, I wanted to remember all the good things about her, but all I could think about was the differences that I wasn't really aware of at first. And I became disenchanted. Now I still love her with all my heart and soul and think of her as the love of my life. And if I can't have her as a wife, I would be happy to have her as a best friend or a sister. And I'm sure I lost her. I don't care. But I do care, but I mean, but I don't care that I lost her because there's so much other shit like mired up in it. I don't think my friendship with her was very easy for her. I just don't think it was. It was like a stressful, drug-fueled nightmare. And I don't, and so I know that I wasn't that good for her. I'm not good for anybody. I know who I am. I got my entire high school smoking cigarettes, and I'm sure some of them are dead over it. I swear to God, and not just the 60-person private school, but I was the fucking cigarette dealer for George Washington High School in my senior year. I was the cigarette dealer. I went to school every single day with at least 2, if not 3 cartons that I'd stolen from King Soopers the night before. And I was selling the packs for $20 a pop, and I was like tripping the life fantastic with my young high school girlfriend and shit. I was like 17, and I was making like, I don't know, $200 a day off selling cigarettes to fucking high schoolers and shit. And all I had to do was walk across the street to the King Soopers and steal the cartons right out of the aisle. It's not even like they put them behind the counter. They were right there in the aisle. You could just open your backpack, stuff 3 cartons in there, walk the fuck out. And I must have stole probably 5,000 cartons or something like that. It was insane. I stole like 5,000 cartons of cigarettes or something like that. Fucking crazy. I had a lot of friends who did that, actually. I had a friend, he used to have me drive him all the way up to Bailey, which was a 2-hour drive, mind you, so he could fill a backpack with cartons of cigarettes. He knew that I didn't care, and he knew that I was good at it, and he knew that I would drive him out of that parking lot, and I wouldn't leave him to the pigs because I hated the fucking pigs way worse than him, So he knew I was a safe ride. I'm a good getaway driver, I'm not gonna fucking capitalize with the pigs. I'm not doing that. I'll die first, it's right on my face when I talk about it. I'll fucking die before I'll ever work with police. You understand? Really hate police. Really hate them. Way more than Nazis. And, I hate both. They're both really bad people, but the police have fucked with me. The Nazis haven't, so I hate them more than Nazis because the police have fucked with me. The Nazis haven't. So, uh, the, or well, they have. They have. One of them did. And I found myself thinking about the abortion advice that I gave when I should have been thinking about her boyfriend catfishing me. And and instantly that was like the spell being broken. It was like I forgot about that advice I gave to get an abortion. I forgot what her response was. I forgot about her Christianity religion thing. I forgot how conflicted she is about that stuff. And all of it's fine. I still would have married her. I don't really care. But were we compatible? One time, this lady, I conscripted this lady, and I got cloud candy for her birthday one year. I got her a reading with the Quietest Revolution, which is her favorite streamer. And I asked her, I was like, can you ask her what fucks up our relationship? I was like, ask her what's wrong with me. And Quietus came back and told her that I had a lot of darkness. The cards came back, excuse me, the cards that the Quietus Revolution had pitched, like this Capricorn one that we watched yesterday, right? The cards that she pitched that day, and I paid $200 for this this reading, but I mean but I mean, like, I wanted to know. I was like I asked her, I told Cloud, I was like, you should ask her, like could we be married? Am I the right one? Is there a love relationship possibility here? Are we the right thing? Are we twin flames, or whatever the fuck you believe in, or whatever? I want her reading. And she came back and said that while the relationship was something that we could pursue, it was possible, there was too much darkness in my life for Cloud. And that is exactly the truth. No more, no less. That's exactly right. I don't know how somebody I've never met before divined this from fucking tarot cards, but I mean, but she did. And it's not like Cloud told her first, because it was a timed, it was a timed horoscope reading. A timed tarot card reading that lasted exactly 60 minutes. And so, and this was, she came back like that day, and she was like, this is the greatest thing anybody's ever done for me. Like, you don't understand. This was like the greatest thing anybody's ever done for me, to connect with my greatest hero, and have her revise my love life, have her revise my childhood, my childhood traumas, and what should happen with my daughter and all this stuff. And she was like, I never would have been able to do this for myself. And I was like, that's okay. I needed to know what she was going to say. And I asked her, like, bald, point blank, I was like, she didn't think we could be together, did she? And she was like, no. And I was like, fuck. And I was like, why? And she said, the cards indicated that you have too much darkness in your life. And I was like, yeah, it's not my fault. The meth was, but not the darkness. The darkness, I had too much darkness in my life. I did. But, and the meth was my fault, but none of the rest of it was. I didn't tell my ex-girlfriend to do heroin. I didn't tell her to shoot up goddamn AIDS and Hep C right in front of me. I didn't tell Jan to shoot his father and then himself a second later. I didn't even speak to him for 7 years or something. I didn't tell these people to be who they were. I didn't tell my ex-girlfriend to fall down to the streets. I didn't tell Cloud to break up with her first, or anything like this. I didn't, I wasn't there for all that dark. I mean, I was there for the darkness, but I didn't cause it. And it sucked. And she said the most honest thing anybody's ever said to me, that there was too much darkness in my life. And I was like, well, I can't argue with that one, And I forgot about that. And I was thinking last night about the Quietest Revolution. I watched another Quietest Revolution video, and I was like, this lady really, really helped me. And I've begun to think and so did Cloud. Cloud really helped me by showing me people like the Quietest Revolution. I never would have been a content creator if it hadn't been for Cloud Candy, because she likes content creators. So of course I went out to try and be a content creator, right? To try and be something she actually respected. The only thing she respects is content creation, I think. Or no, she respects everybody for what they do. But like the two things she cares about in the world is like, besides her family, is like astrology and like veganism. And so, I don't know. And so I was trying to reach her on the astrology level, and I was like, well, I know, it's going to be expensive, but I will set aside a $200 for a reading. But the requirement is I've got some questions you've got to ask in the reading about us. And she was like, no problem, I'm going to ask those anyways, and all that. So I had her ask about that. I wrote out like 10 questions, and I had her ask her. And while it came back that it was possible, there was too much darkness. That did affect Cloud's choice. That she made a choice to be with me or not be with me. The advice from her astrologist that I had too much darkness in my life, it would be a good romance, but it wouldn't be fun because there was too much darkness in my life. She went with that advice. She followed it. And I don't blame her. I wish I had just had the advice from Quietest when I was like 35, when I met Cloud, like 7 or 8 years ago. I wish I had just found the Quietest Revolution on YouTube, as opposed to being a negative force in Cloud's life, being somebody who introduced her to drugs, but that was her idea, not mine. I fought her on it for a year. I fought her about that. And like other stuff. And I wish I had just had the advice about the darkness rather than meeting her in the back of Stella's. I wish I just had the advice about the darkness, I don't have a regret for being friends with Cloud as long as I did, or losing her, or any of that stuff. If we were ever even together, I think she would say we weren't, but I mean, she lived in my bed for a year. I don't know if you could call that not dating. Is living with a girl who's sleeping in your bed for a year, is that dating? I don't know. I don't think she knew either. That was what was so weird about it. But I mean, that's what it was. I wish I had had the advice about the darkness. I never ever would have spoke to her in the first place. And I'm learning to get the advice about the darkness and not sit down next to the girl at the coffee shop, right? Like, we never finished the Capricorn read. Let's see where she fell with this. I was too drunk. Let's finish the Capricorn read, because I'm a Capricorn. I've doxed myself on this stream before. I've doxed myself on this stream. I've told people my birth date. I've told people like what all that stuff, like what my full name is, and I don't like volunteering that information because it's dangerous. But I mean, I am a Capricorn. I'm not afraid of saying what my sign is. I'm a Capricorn. I'm a stubborn goat. And I've said this on stream before too. And, and I need to know what happens in the next year, because for 7.5 years, I kept my life completely open to the possibility of Cloud just crashing down into my life again and just being there, and that was her idea, not mine. She was the one who was saying stuff like that, not me. I was like, I don't think I want to chase you anymore. And that was way back like 2 years ago or something. I was like, I don't think I want to chase you anymore. You always have a boyfriend whenever I'm single, and I'm always single whenever, I always have a girlfriend whenever you're single. And I just don't want to chase my best friend who I'm in love with anymore. I warned her up front. I was like, I don't think I can just throw my love down an endless well forever, just assuming that it might be okay one day. I just can't do that. I'm too guarded of a person. I'm too Capricorn. I'm too stubborn to do stuff like that. And so I was like, I don't think this is going to work. She's like, yes, that's where but she told me, she was like, I spent a year finding out though. She was like, I spent a year. I asked the Quietest Revolution about us. She was like, I thought about it a lot. I almost left my first, the father of her first child for you and all the shit. She was like, she was there for a while, but then something happened. It was just like the too much darkness thing, or the abortion advice thing, or the drug addiction thing, or being fat, or being old, or whatever it is. It's a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff. I should probably find a woman my own age. But we wouldn't have had all this if there wasn't something there. We wouldn't have had 5.5 years of history or something like that. She wouldn't have lived with me for a year. Something was there. And so constantly I'm like, I need to know what's going to happen in the next year and a half. I believe in prophecy. It's the only bit of silly magic stuff that I actually believe in is astrology and prophecy and oracles. That's like the only bit of magic that I actually believe in besides energy. Like energy can be used for almost anything. You can throw a curse or you can throw a blessing. It doesn't matter. That's about to the extent of which I believe magic. But I do believe in fucking the tarot card deck. I really do. I've seen it give me such good advice before, and I really do believe in the stars having some kind of pattern in our lives. The Indra's net that makes our tidal waves, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. And I believe in these things that she believes, even in God when I'm in love. I even believe in her Christian God when I'm in love, because it's like that's what it's like when I'm in love with her. It's crazy. It's like God comes and smiles with me. God comes and smiles on me. So then, but somewhere around summer, I realized that she had not told me about her second born child, that it was even born. And I was like, that's not a lie, but it's definitely an obfuscation for no reason. And it's not like I pry in her life. Most times I'll let 1, 2, 3 months pass by before we speak. It's not like we're like pen pals and stuff. It's not like I'm in her life or there. I don't care about a child or not. I care that she cared to conceal it from me. I don't believe I've ever concealed anything from her. Trying to think of some time. I stole money from her, and then I didn't tell her about that for about 9 months. Because I figured she would never speak to me again when I told her. And then when I did tell her, like 9 months or a year later or something, she was like, no, we're going to still keep being friends and stuff. I was like, I figured you would just never speak to me again. So I've been living my life on the assumption that I would attempt suicide pretty much when this conversation ended. And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I've been hiding from you for a year that I stole $700 out of your drawer in the hotel room. And she was like, oh my God, that was you? I was like, yeah, that was me, because you never would have left the hotel room otherwise. And she was like, yeah, I wouldn't have. And I was like, yep. So here's the 1,400, I think. No, well, it was 21 in all, but I gave her 1,400 up front. I think it was like 2 payments of 700 something within a day. And then I had to get and then it took me another 5 weeks to get the last 700, but I really wanted to give her triple what I took, because I was like, God damn it. Like I wanted to just, I told her, and this was the truth. I stole one of her hairpins or something, one of those barrettes that they wear. I stole a barrette out of her drawer, and I used it to file the money. And that barrette still was on that money, like in my fucking my passenger side glove box. That money and her barrette sat in that glove box until the day they towed my fucking car out of my parking spot, and the pigs stole that money. They wouldn't put it on the evidence list, and I confronted a bunch of police about this. I was like, there was an envelope with $700 in this dashboard. You can tell there was, because all of my possessions were in this car. Everything I owned was in that car. PlayStation 4 was in there, all my games, all my clothes, my cologne, my fucking, all my shit was in that car. Everything everything I owned, all my smoking devices, vape pens and stuff, everything I owned was in that car. And I was like, there was a very important $700 payment sitting like bound up in a barrette, like in the fucking the passenger side fucking glove box, and the pigs fucking towed my car from my parking spot out to the fucking airport. And who knows who stole that money? They like, it might have been the Hertz rental car because I was renting that car. It might have been the previous owner of the car, or the owner of the car, because I was renting that car. It might have been Hertz. It might have been the guy who towed the car. It might have been the police. It might have been evidence lockup. It might have been the airports. It might have been the other Hertz at the airport. It might have been the Hertz that they towed the car to and charged me $3,000 to tow it to the next Hertz, which was in Aurora. And they might have stole that $700. It doesn't matter who stole the $700. Somebody stole the fucking $700. And so then I called her up on the phone like a couple of days after that car was towed, and I was just like, listen, I got to tell you the worst thing that you're ever going to hear in your whole lifetime. And she was like, what? And I was like, I kind of like broke into your hotel room and stole $700 from you because I really wanted you to leave that place, and I figured as long as you had money you wouldn't leave. And she was like, yeah, I did leave like that day. And I was like, yeah, I mean. And she was like, yeah, that actually really helped me. It fucked me, and it was really terrible. And I didn't recover for it for about a year. But that really, but it also was good. It got me out of the situation. I was like, oh, good. Because, I mean, like, I assumed I was going to go to the grave here, like, today, on the assumption that I had done nothing but harm you. And she was like, no, the control that you were seeking did actually work. And I was like, okay. And she was like, no, I want to keep this going. And I was like, really? Like, you're okay with it? And she did. She dated me for a year after that. Even though she dated me for a year after I stole $700 from her, after I broke into her hotel room through the window, and I like undid the fucking deadbolt on her door, and then I fucking cracked all the locks on her door, and I was in and out in like 2.5 minutes and shit. And I knew she was keeping like $700 in that fucking what are they called, bedside. And I was like, nope. I know that if this money is stolen from her, she will immediately leave the people that she's hanging out with on the assumption that they did it to her. And that's exactly what the fuck happened, and it's what I wanted, and it got her out of a very, very bad situation. So it was the only thing that was going to get her out of that thing, I think. She wasn't going to stop, And so at that point, and I told her, I was like, I'm here to give you $1,400, and I'm going to give you like some more money here in a couple of days when another bit of money clears. But I'm here to pay you like $2,000 to make up for that 600, or I think it was like 650, 700, something like that I stole. And she was like, you're paying me back? And I was like, yeah, I'm paying you back. And she was like, well, then if you make it right, then it's just like it never happened. And I was like, okay, well, cool. Here's $1,400. Please forgive me. Please forgive me, or I'm going to go to my grave today. Please forgive me for this, because I have, I this is the worst thing I ever did in my whole life. It still is the worst thing I've ever done in my whole life. But I felt so fucking like bound up in that situation. It was the only thing that was going to get any kind of headway. We've been trying to get her out of that situation for weeks and weeks and weeks, and it was not working. As long as there was some way to stay there, like money, she wasn't going to leave. So so I just did what I thought was necessary. Now, this cost us. It cost us our friendship for a while. It cost me my soul. It cost her her money. It probably cost her a bit of her soul to date me afterwards, but she still liked me enough to do that, I guess, or whatever. So now, like, I look back and I'm like, I would really like to just be friends for the rest of our lives, but I'm not sure we were ever even compatible in that fucking respect. If I was willing to jack you for $700, if I was willing to get you high the first time, I couldn't possibly have been the friend that you needed, And that's what I dealt with yesterday. It's been stages. It's like each year I reach another step in the hardest thing I've ever done. This is hands down the hardest fucking thing I've ever done in my fucking life. It's 4 a.m. and I'm still talking about it 3 hours later and shit. The hardest thing I've ever done in my life is walk away. Walk from her. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. You understand? So each year I reach some kind of epiphany where it's a little bit easier for me. And yesterday it was like, maybe we weren't that compatible in the first fucking place, you know? Maybe we just weren't that compatible in the first fucking place. I don't know. It makes it easier for me. She texted me today, and I was like, I told you, don't speak to me ever again. And this isn't because I don't want her to talk to me or that I don't love her with all my heart and soul, like the love of my life or anything like that. It's because we're not that compatible and all I ever do is damage to her. That's all I ever do. I can't think of a time when I ever did anything with her that was actually productive or good for her life. Maybe gave her some rides. That was probably productive. Other than that, I was not a good person in her life. And now I blame me. You know, I was blaming her for years. I blamed her for giving up after the dude threatened to kill her. I blamed her for leaving the garage that she lived with me for a year. I blamed her for keeping me in her orbit, like some kind of satellite for 5 years while she dated 2 other men or more. I don't know. I wasn't even in the same state, and I don't care. But you know, and I kept thinking some of this is her fault, but no, she's never actually done anything to me. That's the whole point. She's perfect like that. She's never actually done anything but help me. So it took till yesterday, you understand? 7 fucking years. It took till yesterday before I would blame me. And it is my fault. All of this is my fault. All of it. I never should have talked to her in the first fucking place. All I saw was a beautiful girl who wanted to talk because she wanted a really good friend. So I just responded to that. But I should have been thinking about how she's like 21, just too young. She's just too beautiful. The men around her are just crazy and don't like me. The children with other people, all that stuff. And it took me so long to realize, no, it's not her. It's none of it's her. It's that thing about no, you are always the problem. I was always the problem. I never ever should have spoken to her in the first place. It wasn't a mistake. It just was probably playing with fire because it was obvious from day one that there was chemistry and something there really strong. But there shouldn't have been. We're not from the same generation. We don't watch the same content creators. We don't listen. Well, we do listen to some of the same music, but only because she taught me her music, not because she likes my music or anything. So, music was the thing. Music was our greatest thing. We sang duets quite a lot. Like she and I, our thing that we did as best friends is we would sing cheesy Disney duets and stuff like that. And I would sing Frozen with her or like Billie Eilish with her and that kind of thing. And that was playing with fire because I've never had a connection like that with a girl. I've always just been their boyfriend or something. I never knew what it was like to sing duets with someone who you really love with all your heart and soul. I had never made a connection like that till her. And she's all about connections like that. She's good at that sort of thing, you know? And it took until yesterday before I blamed myself where the blame rightfully like belongs. And with that comes the closure, right? I have not had closure, not in 7 years. It's been 7 years. I think of it like the Iliad or the Odyssey. 7 years, Jason and the Argonauts or the Huguenots or whatever it is, the Roman Greek myth about like being lost at sea for 7 years trying to get back home to your wife, but the sirens keep singing you to shipwreck and the storms keep washing you back to Greece or whatever it was. I forget the whole story of the Iliad, but it's like the every time that he got to his home port, he was, you know, it was like Zeus was mad at Jason and the Argonauts or something. I forget this whole story, but it's like the Iliad and the Odyssey kind of blend together for me. But like, yeah, the Odyssey is Homer, and I believe it was who was the star of the Odyssey, right? It's the King of Ithaca was Odysseus, and that's why they call it the Odyssey, right? It was a 7-year odyssey since the day I met her in the back of Stella's. It was like a 7-year odyssey. I didn't have my closure until yesterday. I thought I would just be this lost soul. And I'm not saying lost soul for like to turn a phrase or something like that. I'm saying lost soul because of a piece of artwork. There's a lot of Lost Souls. Yeah, they're like there's a bunch of different versions of the artwork for Lost Soul. See it? There's like a few of them. They're all the same picture, but there it is. I'm not trying to say I'm a woman or something. There's a female figure in this picture, but I mean it doesn't matter what the gender of this ghost is at all. It's still a lost soul. I have Swamp Walk. I can easily travel through the lower class and the darker sides of life. I can go to any barrio or any ghetto, depending on what my situation is. Maybe if I look like I have money, maybe I can't. But right. And all the time for 7 years, I kept thinking I'm the lost soul now. I'm just gonna wander the earth. I'm just gonna wander the earth like this Magic the Gathering card. I'm the lost soul now, and I have Swamp Walk, which means that I have grace in dark, shitty swamp areas where I shouldn't have any like play. I'm pretty good with the lower class, and I'm good with drug addictions, and I'm good with tragedies and like dealing with like death and stuff like this. I am a lost soul in the respect that I do have kind of a darker tendency. And for like 7 years now, I've been this lost soul wandering the land. The quote on this card is, "Her hand gently beckons, she whispers your name, but those who go with her are never the same." And I thought for the longest time, she had caused me to be a lost soul. Nope. I realized it yesterday as I said goodbye forever. I was like, which I thought I did in the summer, but she texted me. And I told her with no uncertain terms, I can even show you the text if you want. I said, "Do not speak to me ever again." She's never agreed, but she did today. She was like, "All right." And I was like, "Good. It's my fault. All of this stuff was my fault. I never ever should have even spoken to her. I'm the lost soul with Swamp Walk. She's the Sarah Angel. This is how I think of her. When I think of her, born with wings of light and a sword of faith, this heavenly incarnation embodies both fury and purity. And that is her. That is who Cloud Candy is. That's the core of her not she doesn't have any fury, but she definitely has purity, right? And notice she's got essence of white. I used to call her Moonstruck Oracle Goddess because I figured she was like this being of light, when I dealt with her. It was like that. Like I feel like she has circle of protections and stuff like this. She has very powerful magic. And it took till yesterday, but I blamed her. I blamed her for all of it. I blamed her for meeting me. I blamed her for 7 years of the Odyssey. Every time I made it back to Denver, I was blown back out to sea. And I never did make it home. I had to retire to a different state. I never did make it home. I mean, Odysseus made it home. I didn't make it home. And because I didn't make it home, I blamed her. And she's never done anything to me. She's never wronged me, never misled me, or like even the fight that we had wasn't her. It was her boyfriend chose to catfish me, not her. And I'm sure she's gonna love to tell this story the rest of her life. But yeah, it wasn't her idea, to catfish me. That was not her idea. When she found out, she was crazy. I watched her yell at him. I blamed her for 7 years because I felt like she was my home and that I was never ever gonna be home ever again. Matters of the heart are never simple. I don't play with like random sex. I don't play with people's hearts, and I take love very, very seriously. And I did love her very, very seriously and still do. And, but I got my closure yesterday when she finally did say, all right, when I told her, don't speak to me ever again. I know that that's the coldest, hardest thing that on top of all the other shit that I did to her. She even told me, she was like, what did she say? She said, you've taken more than you gave my life. I had good wishes. Let them be washed away. That's what she said. Let them be washed away. Blocking, never again. That's what she said. She said, blocking, never again. Yeah, I know. Look at the smile on my face, right? You wouldn't think that I would be smiling about that, but it's like I don't ever have to get my swamp walk gunk on her ever again. She can go be the Sarah Angel in her wonderful life, you know. I don't need to bring drugs into her life ever again, or be this crazy person who just chose to love her. I don't think I got permission first. I just fell in love with her and worshipped her like a goddess for 7 years. Now, worshiping her doesn't change, loving her doesn't change, but I'm able to understand that this was all my fault. In doing so, I'm able to forgive myself. I'm able to let it go and let her grow. Because I think I was probably the worst friend she's ever had. I think I'm probably the worst friend anybody's ever had. I like, for instance, I was telling that story about stealing cigarettes. I'm fairly sure that I got like 2,000 people addicted to cigarettes or something in my high school senior year. Like 2,000 people or something. A bunch of people I didn't even know I was selling cigarettes to for between $7.50 and $20 a pop, depending on whether I had them or not. And I've been blaming her for being my home and never ever going home ever again. And that's my fault. I think she would even be happy if she heard me say it. But It is my fault. All of this was my fault. I kept telling her when I tried to write her off the first time, I paid her back her money and I was like, you should never be around a person like me ever again. I'm just a bad person. I got many people addicted to cigarettes when I was younger. I've definitely gotten people addicted to meth before. I've gotten people addicted to all kinds of stuff. And alcohol, like my best friend, when I met him, he was 110 pounds soaking wet, and he was 110 pounds when I moved in. But by the time I moved out 7 years later, he was 380 pounds, an alcoholic, smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day, and miserable. And that's what happens when you hang around me. I jade whoever it is. I corrupt whoever it is. I'm not a nasty sex person, thank God, or I would have been a Jeffrey or one of those, but I'm not. I'm not a nasty sex pervert. I'm really not. I'm very honest and very truthful in saying I'm not, I'm a pervert, but I'm not a weirdo. And I hold it against these women that I'm in love with when 7 years goes by and we just can't seem to sink that basket. And I blame them. I'm like, I'm the one who wrote love poetry. I'm the one who bought you whatever you asked for every single time you ever asked for it. Not like presents like people like do when they're love bombing or like, I don't know, like prostitution or something like that. I'm talking about like when she needed a pair of headphones to talk on Fortnite. I would send a $20 pair of headphones. That's the last gift I sent her, was a $23 pair of headphones. Stuff like that. I sent her several tarot card decks for her birthday. Stuff like that. And those are expensive. They're like $25 to $50. And I was always there if I could be, and I wasn't there after she was with somebody. The minute that she had a baby with someone else and she told me she was going to settle down with that one, her first one, I was like, okay, well, I've been living my life like I would eventually marry you. I'm going to stop doing that. And she was like, yep, it's time. It's time to stop. We can be best friends for the rest of our lives, but that's probably never on the table. I was like, okay, no, I appreciate your honesty. Thank you. It's good to at least know what the situation is. Most of the time, like my first one, Bonnie, she just didn't care. She didn't care. She didn't care that I was in love with her for fucking 10 years. She didn't care. She just said goodbye. She was like, yep, I'm moving to California. I know you're not moving to California too. So, and she didn't care. She didn't care what it did to me. It fucked me up. And so I just assumed that was the case with all of them. And I did this 3 times. I did it with Bonnie. I did it with, Monica, and I did it with her, Cloud. And I don't want to be in this situation where I write love poetry that I don't even send all the time. I write music that I don't record. I do record, honestly. I record music that I write about her. Like I wrote Soul Devo Atma Goddess. That's the sort of phrase that comes into my brain when I think of her. So I wrote a song called Soul Devo Atma Goddess. 911. Do you see? See how long the song is? I did that on purpose. Oh yeah. We're about to go on another one. We're about to go out for another one. Blues trap. I want to hear some blues trap. This is my jam. Soul Devo Atma Goddess. Many are the ways of she who sees the moon, the stars, the alabaster. Many games she plays against the masters, caring not for a win, but counting the notches anyways. Hunger for learning deep inside, a burning, driving force. Eyes grown wide in excitement, we dance until the dawn, we dance until the dawn. Warrior friends still join her party, and dark allies as she prepares for a future most certainly bright, too bright. The same light reflected within her eyes is the darkness. Long and arduous is the Persephone path back out of these cold depths. She for me, he for it, they for us and them, back but away, right but wrong, torture but bittersweet, torture but bittersweet. Tried to warn, can't do this alone. She holds her own counsel and no longer speaks her devotion back. Beauty is but the least of her Dave's machine gifts. A scholar of trials and stars and happy endings. Build foundations change as we ourselves do, as the ground grows more solid to tread upon. And this is a phrase about our current situation, which is like, it took 7 years, but we finally did build a foundation that wasn't like a love relationship. It was just a friendship, you know, and the ground grows more solid to tread upon. I wrote this before her boyfriend catfished me. Changer, changer is what Regal used to call fish chivalry, for having the wit, and that's a word that I use for myself. It's like a wit bond with animals and stuff. Changer is an epithet. It's like a nasty name that rich people call catalysts. They call me changer. So I said changer, as in change her, you know, changer, greater, better. Love, loss, seeking discovery with a back turned. Devotion grows. It doesn't falter. My devotion still grows. It's fucking stupid. The devotion grows. My soul devo atma goddess. Like devo is short for devotion. My soul devotion to my living goddess. It's what the song is actually about. It's like my soul devotion to my living goddess. I don't care if I ever see her again. I do care, but I mean, like, I don't care if but I will not shed a tear if I never see her again. I can still love her forever. And she's not worth that. Oh, she's worth that, but she's not special. She's like any other girl. She's just a girl. She's not special. It took me 7 years to be able to stop putting her on a pedestal like that and just view her as an equal and all this. And that makes stuff like never speaking to her again, like, easier. You know, there, but for the grace of her go I, thinking of control of halfway bitter things, wishes to sit upon the royal crest of the day, lost but not lost, found but not found, lost and found. We're lost and found. I love her so. I love her soul. I love you so. I love you so. I love you so. I love your soul. I love you so. I love her soul. I love her so. Please like, sub. You are my 8 emotions at once and all this stuff. Now, do I think that I'm worthy? I'm sorry. Of her. Yeah. Do I think I'm worthy of her? No. You can see it from the fat face. I've got a fat face. She doesn't. I'm not worthy of her. Beauty is the strongest power on the planet. She taught me that. I've seen her do with beauty what men can't do with battleships. I'm dead serious too. Beauty is the strongest power on the planet. It's stronger than nuclear power. It's like literally stronger than that. I've seen it move more things. It's kind of crazy. Beauty will do interesting things to humans. It's like this thing. It does compel us. And that's where I'm at now, where it's like, okay, so now having written all this, having meant it, you know, I can let it go, you know, and I'm going to blame myself for this. I blamed her for 7 years. I was like, God damn it. Bonnie didn't care that she kept me going for 10 years, 10 fucking years. You understand? 10 years since the age of 14 until I was 24. Monica didn't care that I was with her from the age of 31 to 35. And just neither one of them were available to me for whatever reason. They loved me and I was their best friend for years and years, but they weren't available. They were always with somebody else or something like this. And it's stupid. It's not like I'm gay. It's not like that. It's not like I'm ugly or anything like that. It's like sooner or later, I have to believe in myself enough to believe that I should have these nice things like love and sex in my life. But my life has been so dark that all I can see is the darkness to her Sarah Angel, you know? There's another picture of her. There's many pictures of Sarah Angel. They're all really good, although I think this one's the best by far because of her tits. But yeah. And so it's like, and that sucks when somebody's your Sarah Angel. It sucks when you've had three of them and that they don't ever come down from their cloud. They don't ever come down from their cloud. Cloud did, which was an interesting experiment, and it was like being blessed by God herself or whatever. It was kind of insane. Reminds me of Marv from Sin City. Remember when Marv sleeps with Goldie? That's exactly my situation. Like Marv. Remember Marv from Sin City? I'll probably watch Sin City tonight. That's a good movie because I can't sleep. I am ending a 7-year relationship here today. And I never did feel like it was over until today. I'll be honest about it. It was a big lie that I told myself. It was a terrible lie that I told myself for 7 fucking years that it just wasn't over, that there was some chance, that there was some hope to be had in the realm of humans when there absolutely is not. There is only sorrow, confusion, and loss. And, I've seen it enough to know. I know what to expect now. And, I'm glad I did this. I'm glad I wrote the song. I'm glad I loved her. I'm glad I'm able to blame myself finally, because it's like the one lie I did tell her was that I was blaming me, But no, I was blaming her for all of this. I blamed her for relapse. I blamed her for a year of a relationship where I was dating a person who was emotionally unavailable because she was in love with somebody she was never going to see ever again. And then finally, when she was finally single and came sniffing around to see if I was available, I was with somebody. And then finally, when I got out of that relationship, she was with her next one. And then we lived with each other for a year, and then she left when a man threatened her. Not me. And just the drugs and being in the garage and being poor, it was just bad deal for a beautiful girl like that. It really not the sort of place you take a beautiful woman, the garage. But it was, for us, it was that or the streets. She kept telling me that whole year, she was like, it might seem like this is like a loser thing that we're doing, but it's really, really good that I'm here and I'm not somewhere else. And I'm like, good. That was the whole goal. And I didn't have much to offer her except for an old rundown queen size mattress, a frozen garage that got below zero often, almost every night. Fucking terribly cold. We had to use an electric blanket to even survive the ordeal. And a heater, and it was just interesting. And that was the coldest, darkest, hardest time of my life. Even during that phase, I got a deep vein thrombosis in my left thigh, and I was unable to walk for 3 solid weeks. She took care of me. And so I dared to believe, that there was someone else on the planet who might be weird and autistic like me, that might love with their whole heart like me, that might, have interesting magical powers and such, and might be like an interesting, oracle or whatever. And I just didn't believe that good things like that existed anymore. And so then I blamed her when it all went away. But no, it's me. And it's always me. It's always me. I can cry my little martyr tears, my little crocodile tears as I get her high for the first time, or steal money from her, or tell her goodbye over and over again. Like I've told her goodbye a bunch of times now. I've told her goodbye like 7 times in the last 2 years. I was really surprised when she texted me. I didn't think it was her. I thought it was the catfish. I accused her of it. I was like, nope. One of the things that I blamed her for is She never did ever talk to me on the phone. She'll text all day long, but she won't have a conversation with you on the phone. With anyone. I've never seen her talk with anybody on the phone except her father. That's it. She does not talk on phones. I blamed her for this, and I blamed her again yesterday. I just yelled at her about it. I was like, imagine going through your life never speaking to anyone on a phone ever again. I just took the shot at her because I want her to just leave. I want her to just not be around me anymore. I'm not a good person. I've done nothing but harm her. Like she said, I've done nothing but add to her life, and I apologized to her about that. The last thing I said to her ever was like, I'm sorry I didn't add to your life. You know, that's what she said to me. She's like, you've taken more than you've brought to my life. And that's true. And that's why she should say goodbye. You know, that's why. That is true. Yeah. So, yeah, and so I yelled at her. I was like, imagine, I really need you to talk to me on the phone. I tried to explain it to her, but she blocked me first. I was like, I really need you to talk to me on the phone because I don't know if you are your catfish boyfriend or not. I can't tell if it's a stalker, you, or a psycho, or what. I can't tell who I'm talking to, and that's been a problem in our friendship for like 5 years. I can't tell who I'm talking to because she'll only text. That's it. So catfishing was an issue. It was an issue. And she doesn't ever own her own phone. She only ever uses her boyfriend's phone for some reason. Don't know why. I've offered to buy her phone so many times, but it's weird when the best friend offers to buy a phone and she's dating somebody else, you know? That's like a gift from a suitor. So she said no. But I have bought her like 4 phones. You know, she has a thing with phones. They all do for some reason. Really beautiful girls get their phones stolen, I think. I don't really know why, but they do. They either lose or get their phone stolen, one or the other. Every beautiful girl I've ever been with couldn't keep a phone longer than a month. I really don't know why. I don't know why that's true. It's a truism, though. Every beautiful girl I was ever with, and I've been with like 7, like they can't keep phones for whatever reason. I don't know why. So every time I want to and I blamed her for this. This is my fault, though. If I was a better man, if I hadn't been hunted by police all of my life since I was 17, if I didn't have fucking 3 or 5 drug addictions, if I didn't have a dead friend who committed suicide by killing his father and then himself a second later, if I didn't watch Monica shoot up AIDS and Hep C right the fuck in front of me, if I didn't watch my stepfather die, if I didn't watch my fucking friends die, if I didn't see Alyssa 3 weeks before fucking, or sorry, it was 3 days. It was 3 days. 3 days before her murder, if I didn't, you know, if all this darkness, you know, if it wasn't there, I think I would have a phone that I could send her. But I don't have a phone I can send her. I've never had anything at all but darkness. And she knows that. She's seen it firsthand, what it does and how it is and how much I have to scrape to even get by. And that's loser stuff. If I was a better man, it wouldn't be like that. I think if I had ninja money, none of this ever would have been an issue. You know, I think it is me. It's my fear of success. I blamed her for my fear of success. And that is not so good. And I'm stopping doing that now. Maybe in 50 years, she'll send me a letter or something, like a text. I don't think my phone number is going to change my whole life. Maybe she'll send a text in 50 years. That's what I want from her now. I don't want her anymore. I want her to have a good life. I don't think her life was good as long as I was in it. And not because of me, but because of just how shitty things have got in the last 7 years. It was I thought about writing I asked her permission one time. I was like, our Facebook conversation is like 6,000 pages long. And I know because I printed it all out. I didn't print it all out, but I took a data dump of our Facebook conversation because it was like 7 years old or something. And there was so much beautiful poetry that I've written in it. And there's all these things that she said that I've remembered all my life, that I'll remember all my life and all this. And I was like, this conversation is like my greatest asset now. Like it just is. It's like my greatest this pen pal conversation that I have with my best friend for like 7 years. It's like the greatest piece of art I've ever made. And she made it with me. So I called her up and talked to her one day, and I was like, I would like to dump the entirety of our Facebook conversation to a text file. Would you care if I published it? And she was like, yes. And I was like, okay, no problem. I actually would really care if I published this too. But I was like, but I think it would be a New York Times bestseller. It has that kind of, it hits hard. I reread the whole 6,000 page thing. It was like reading a long fantasy novel, and it hits hard. Our conversation hits hard. Now I deleted that conversation because I knew that she wouldn't let me publish it. So, because there's so many crazy things in it. I wanted to name it Love in the Time of COVID, because that's what it was. That whole 7-year conversation, it was love in the time of COVID. There's a really good book named Love in the Time of Cholera. And I thought I would make my version of that. I think I'm living in love in the I think I lived love in the time of cholera, except for us it was COVID, right? COVID didn't kill me, but it got close. I did my O2 sets did drop to 84% when I was in the hospital for hospital-induced pneumonia, and that's the closest I've ever come to dying. Well, not closest, but it's the closest I've ever come to like dying of sickness. And I was like, it's like I'm fighting cholera, and we're back in the 1800s, except instead of it being 2025, it's like 1925 or 1825. And I really felt that piece of like literary stuff that we did as pen pals back and forth, like Anais Nin and Henry Miller, was the best writing I've ever done. I am a writer. I write music, I write songs and stuff. That fucking conversation, all the poetry I sent her, all the things I said, all the things she said, all that stuff, that conversation is my greatest asset in my entire life. I deleted it. I felt it was too personal, and it had too much of her secrets and had too many of mine, and it was dangerous to her, and it was dangerous to me, and it was dangerous to her for other reasons and all this. And I don't, I can't believe I deleted that conversation, but I did. I deleted that fucking conversation because I loved her so, I still do. I loved her so much. The thought of that conversation being published and somehow harming her is unacceptable to me. Unacceptable. When you really love somebody, you can't hurt them, Like, I know how long it took me to be able to say goodbye to her. I was so scared of hurting her by doing so that I couldn't do it for fucking 5 years. I kept doing it. It took me till yesterday before I was like, can we say goodbye? And she was like, all right. She fought me. She fought me. You would think that I begged her, but no, she fought me every single time. Every single time. She fought me hard. She fought me really hard every single time I tried to walk away from her and not jade her or corrupt her or bring her into my shitty life and show her how fucking actually shitty it can be. Like, etc. And now I'm beginning to understand all of this stuff was my shortcomings. If I was a better man, it never would have been a problem in the first fucking place. I never would have lost her in the first fucking place or any of this other stuff. Now I can't get any better. I can't ever get better. It's going to be this empty hole that's going to be there till the day I die, which I'm sure will be soon. And that's okay. But it's a lot more weight off my mind that I don't blame her anymore. And I didn't know how much I was blaming her until today. But I was blaming her for all of it. And she's never done anything wrong. I can't think of a time when she even told me a white lie or anything like that. This girl is so pure. I don't think she's one of those. Like, I'm trying to think of like a television or a movie, a character that would sum her up well. Think Padme from Phantom Menace. Padme just isn't gonna fucking harm you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not in her to do so. That and so I drummed up some reason to blame her for this whole thing that I tried to build falling apart. But it's never them. It's never them, it's you. It's always you. It was lack of money, drug addictions, sadness, hopelessness, loss, suicides, death in the families, loss of friends, loss of sanity, loss of freedom, 2 years in the madhouse. She had kids, I didn't, etc. All this stuff. All this stuff happened in the meantime, in between. All that stuff, it's still me. I didn't cause all that stuff. That's all just stuff that happens to her. But it's never them, it's you. It's a powerful self-reflection tool, often used in personal growth to shift focus from blaming others to examining one's own role, reactions, and responsibility in challenging situations, relationships, or negative patterns, promoting accountability and inner change rather than the external finger pointing. While it can imply taking responsibility for your feelings and actions, it's a concept explored in many self-help contexts, even inspiring book titles like Josh Connolly's It's Them, Not You, which flips it to address toxic situations where others truly are the issue. Taking responsibility, recognizing you control your responses, not others' behavior, right? So I don't know what I could have done differently here. I don't think I could have. I didn't make the threats that scared her away, but I did give in to her, and I got her high. That's what caused this. I gave in to her. She pressured me for goddamn 5 months or something like that. And I was like, I'm just not going to do this. And she'd be like, why? I want it. And I would tell her, and I still feel this way. My ex Monica told me something that I'll never forget. She was like, you never forget the first person who ever shoots you up or gets you high on heroin because they killed you. And I mean this. And that's what Monica said. And I don't know if Monica's still alive or not, but she's like, I'll never forget who got me high for the first time. It was my old dealer's son, Tim. Tim's dead now. Probably from the same shit that killed Monica, frankly. Probably AIDS and Hep C, I would guess. Probably needle use, I bet. He was a juggalo who liked all the drugs, and I guarantee he probably transitioned to the needle event. Well, no, he did. She told me that he transitioned to the needle, and he's the one who got her into heroin, which is just fucking insane. I didn't know Big Tim, his dad was our drug dealer all throughout high school, but he was also like, I was his best friend. He wasn't my best friend, but I was his best friend. And so his son fucking hated me because he thought that I was just getting high with his father all the time, which was true, but it wasn't my idea. That was Tim's idea to get high all the time. It wasn't my idea. So, on meth and I met my fifth girlfriend in the basement there in Tim's house. She was dating his son, the drug dealer's son. And I'll never forget, Monica was like, you know, I asked Monica, I was like, I would very much like to smoke some black tar heroin like you're doing. It looks like marijuana, and it looks like the high is really good, and I would like to try it. And I begged her, just like Cloud begged me. And she was like, no. And I was like, why? We've been hanging out for like 3 weeks and shit, and all I do is watch you get high, and I just get to smoke weed. Why? And she was like, well, I'll never forget who got me high for the first time, because he killed me. And I was like, who? And she was like, Tim. And I was like, Tim G? And she was like, yeah, Tim G. He got me high on heroin for the first time, and he killed me. I'll probably die because of him. And I was like, Wow. And she was like, I would kill him if I could. I loved him with all my heart and soul. I remember verbatim she said that. She was like, I loved him with all my heart and soul. And she did. I met her back when she was dating him, and she loved that dude. She really loved him. She was like, she was his cassette. She was his cassette. She like he hallowed her moon. She could only think of him. You know, she was like head over heels for him for a long time, like 10 years or something like that. But he killed her. He got her high on heroin the first time with a needle. And I'm sure that came from the dealer. And I'm sure the dealer was getting high on heroin because I hung out with him for 4 years. You know, I didn't introduce him to heroin ever, but I definitely got high with him for 4 fucking years all throughout high school, and pretty much got him to fall into a K-hole of a drug addict's life, essentially. And that's my fault, and that's what I do to everybody. That's why I say no. Anybody who ever asks me, I say no. I just say no. You can't hit it. No. That's what I said to Cloud for 5 months. I was like, no, you can't hit it. No, you can't. No. She was like, I want to try it so bad. Yeah, I gotta see you throwing your life away on this. It's got to be worth it. I need to try it. All the singers do it. All my friends do it. I want to know. I want to know. I want to know what it is. That's what she said. That's like verbatim what she said. And I was like, I'm not getting you high. And she was like, why? And I was like, I don't, the answer is no. The answer is no. I don't need to explain it. It's a terrible thing. It'll turn you into a slave. I don't need to explain it. And she was like, no, I want it. So you should give it to me because I want it. And I was like, no. And she was like, why? And I was like, because my ex Monica, she told me something I'll never forget, which is that, you know, the first person who ever gets you high on a hard drug, they killed you. And I believe this too. I believe that if I were to die, which I won't because I stopped doing meth, but if I didn't stop doing meth, I would have died. I came close a bunch of times. But I remember the name of the guy who got me high the first time at the back of the 7-Eleven. His name was Ken. He was the leader of the party and play scene, which was like the gay meth scene in Denver. And he was working a dead end 7-Eleven job, but his real job was slinging ounces of meth out the back of the 7-Eleven with all these crazy like cartel gangbangers who would show up and disappear with him into the back room for like, you know, a few minutes and stuff. And I'm sure sometimes they were fucking, but most of the time he was selling large amounts of methamphetamine to them. And so then when he was like, I'd like to go back to get high, he was honest about it. He's like, I smoke clear. Do you smoke clear? And I'm like, no, I don't. And he was like, okay, well, I need to get high. Do you care? And I was like, absolutely not. Do you care if I smoke weed? And he was like, no. I was like, well, okay, I'm going to go out to my car and get high now. And he's like, I'm going to go back to the back of the store and get high now. And I was like, I watched him work and I was like, man, I want to work like him, you know? And I was like, I want to try it. I decided like her. I was like, it's my time. I've decided that I want to do this. And he was like, no. For weeks, he was like, no. And I decided it. He offered first and I turned him down. So then when I turned him down, he was like, no. If you said no to me the first time, you should continue saying no. The answer is no. And he was right. I should have just kept saying no. But eventually I was just like, I'm going to tell the boss if you don't get me high. Right. And he was like, okay, you know, he was the boss, honestly, but anyways, so then he did, he got me high. And I remember it like that hour after I got high at that 7-Eleven. It's like that scene in Wolf of Wall Street when they're smoking crack in the back and he's like, let's go crazy and run amok in the streets. That's what it was like for me the first time I ever smoked meth, because the shit was good back then, and it was really good party and play dope. It was like peanut butter dope that he got me high on, and I loved that feeling. I still do. It's right up there with love and sex and music for me. It really is. It's like so high up there. So Cloud gets it in her head, like, I don't know, week 5 or something of living in the garage with me, that she's seen me get high like every other day or something, like once, like, you know, one hit. And she's like, I really want to do this. I see that you're throwing your life away for it, and I'm curious to see why you're doing that and all this. And she's like, I've told you that it really bothers me that you do this, but you keep doing it, and I'm wondering why you would be willing to even throw the relationship with me away. And I was like, yeah, I mean, the drug makes you a slave. You have to do what it says, you know. That's what addiction is. Yeah, I don't want to get high and throw our relationship away on some lark, like just because I need to get high on meth, but I do what the drug says, and that's why I say no to you, you know, is you'll be a slave to it too. And she was like, I want it even more now. And then I could go into it, but it becomes far more personal here, and it becomes things that I don't want to share because it's too personal and stuff. But she makes promises, and I make promises, and we make deals, and I make deals, and we trade, right? And this was her idea, which was good because she was unable to blame me the next 7 years of dealing with a meth addiction. And she wasn't a meth addict. She was somebody who did meth for 5 weeks and then stopped and then thought about it every day for years. And this tortured her. I know it did, but the real reason she wouldn't touch meth anymore, and it wasn't because I couldn't get it for her or that she didn't like it. It was that the lines that it put on her face put her in through an existential crisis, nightmare level of fear. She was like, "Oh my God, the drugs are adding lines to my face," and I was like, "Yeah, they are. I can see it." And she's like, "Yeah, like that's unacceptable for me. I can't have lines on my face." You know, she was like, "It's wrecking my face," and I was like, "Well, then don't do it because look at my face. You know, look at what it did to my face." Like, no, I have a youthful skin because I have good genetics and stuff or whatever you want to call it. Like I have good genes, like Sydney Sweeney or whatever the fuck racist shit. But I have good genes and I've got good skin and good teeth, good bones, pretty healthy person. I don't get sick very often at all. And I don't have the lines. She got the lines. Like the first 2 weeks of it or whatever, she got lines on her fucking forehead, and this caused her to have a panic attack that lasted like 5 months. She was like, "I can't believe what this is doing to my skin." And she would sit there with the cell phone in my bed, and she would just stare at her face all day, like, you know, just like trying to determine if there's a bit more of a wrinkle appearing or if there's a bit more of a line appearing, because her beauty is invaluable, right? So to her, she's protecting it probably the way that Elon Musk protects the Challenger shuttle or whatever. You know, she really like believes that her beauty is her greatest asset. So she you know, she doesn't fuck around with that. She watches tons of makeup tutorials and all this stuff, and she is really beautiful. And like, the lines on her face is what got her to stop. It was just so awesome. I think that's actually such a good reason. But she stopped like 5 weeks in. She was like, "I could keep doing this. I really like this." But she's like, "I can't handle what it's doing to my skin." She was like, "I can't do this anymore. I can't do it. You have to never give this to me again." And I was like, "I promise I won't." And I didn't until she would beg me again. She would beg me again. She'd be like, "Get me high, get me high." I'd be like, "No, you told me how much you don't want to do this. You don't want lines on your face." And my argument was, if I get you high, you have to give me something you don't want to do, right? You have to do something you don't want to do because I don't want to get you high. I hate the person who got me high on meth the first time. I remember who it is, and I wouldn't kill him, but I hate him. You understand? I fucking hate that guy, and I'm pretty sure Monica hates Tim and would have killed him, and I hate Tim for getting Monica high because I had to pick up the pieces of Monica getting high, not him. He did not pick up the pieces. I was with Monica through the worst 5 years of her drug addiction in her entire life. And as usual, I'm the one picking up the fucking pieces on some kind of promise of a marriage, you know, like a promise, like a hint, you know, not a promise, but like a vague premise, you know. And so I was like, "I don't want to do this because you're going to hate me and you're going to resent me the rest of your life for getting you high the first time." And she was like, "No, I'm not. I promise I won't." And I was like, "Yes, you will. I promise that exact same thing to the guy who did it for me. I resent that guy. I hate him. You know, I hate him. I fucking hate him." And she was like, "I see your point. I see how it is sort of like killing the person, getting them high the first time, but you should do it anyways. And I'll just not hate you." And I was like, "No." I was like, "No." And for like a long time, like 3 months, I was like, "No." You know, I'm not exaggerating. It was like 3 months and it pissed her off. Nobody in her life ever had told her no. Nobody. I'm the first person, probably the last, you know, But nobody her whole life ever told her no. She's just too beautiful. Her parents, everybody. If she asks for something, people will drive across state lines to go get it and like that sort of thing. She's one of those, you know. And so, yeah. And I told her no. It was the first time anyone had ever told her no. And that made it way worse because she was like, "You're telling me no. It must be really, really good." And I was like, "Yeah, I am telling you no. I don't want to ruin your life and you're going to resent me. And this thing that we're building is the greatest thing I've ever had. I don't want to lose it because I got you high." And then this is where I'll stop. I can't tell anymore without telling terrible secrets and stuff. But it's just like, it's shitty. It's like she tricked me, and I'll leave it there. She tricked me into ruining her life. And I blamed her. I blamed her for tricking me. I did. I blamed her for 5 years for tricking me. But if I was a smarter man, I would have just stuck with the no. But no, I wanted her to be high on meth. I wanted her to have the same addiction I have. I wanted her to be my little autistic meth head girl. I wanted her to follow me down to hell and burn in the fire with me. Come on, I fell down into a burning ring of meth fire. Oh, no, and I sold all my torches for a dime. Sold my torch just for a dime. But anyways, yeah, and she loved getting high. She actually really loved it. She was like, "I'm scared how much I like this." And when she got high with me, she was like, "All right, now we sing duets. We're going to sing karaoke all night long, every night for weeks." And I was like, that is the greatest suggestion anybody has ever offered to me. You understand? Like the idea of singing duets for just weeks as we just pull song after song on YouTube. You understand that that's like the greatest thing anyone's ever said to me. And she's like, "That's what we're going to do." And I was like, oh, okay. And we did. We sang duets. We sang Billie Eilish and Khaled. And like, you know, Wicked songs and Frozen songs and fucking Nightmare Before Christmas songs. And, you know, fucking like I taught her bands and she taught me bands, Taylor Swift, etc. We just sang. We sang a lot. We Peter Pan song, Peter Pan, That's What They Call Me. Stuff like that. She would help me sing that song because that's a hard song. And we did Marshall Mathers. We did a lot of. She had an obsession with that song Rap God, and she's good at rapping that one song Rap God. She's like better than Marshall Mathers is at singing that one song Rap God, which is kind of weird. So one night she subjected me to 85 or so full karaoke singings of Rap God by Eminem, which is like his worst song. I'm sorry, it was her favorite song by him, but I still think that, I'm sorry, now the song itself is great, but it's still not his best song. That Rap God was a radio hit, and it is a Marshall Mathers song. It's not a Slim Shady song, not really. There is bits of Slim Shady in it, but it is a Marshall Mathers song, and I don't like Marshall Mathers, and that's what I told her when she put on the song. I was like, this is a Marshall Mathers song. There's tons of really good Slim Shady songs that are better than this, but she was like, this is the one I like, and I was like, okay. So then we did Rap God for like 3 days. That was fun. Stuff like that. 3 days too. It was like 3 days. It was like start, get high at meth at like 10, get high on meth at like 7 p.m. and sing Rap God all goddamn night. If she was chanting it, she was whispering it in her sleep. She was like doing ciphers in her fucking sleep and shit. And this stuff made me love her. I mean, I already loved her the day I met her, but stuff like that just made me love her more. Like the fact that she was willing to sing Rap God for 3 days. That's the sort of stuff I do, you know. And I was like, yeah, I can't stand the song anymore. I got to stop it. We can't play this song again. I can't. It's driving me crazy, but I love the fact that you want to do it, you know, that you're speaking my language. I've never met another human being who was actually down to like do duets and be cool and have fun and do a partnership or whatever. I even outlived my band in the end. They all went and joined other bands and stuff. I was the only surviving solo member after that. It's insane. So, we trade. I'm going to leave it at that. That was her idea, not mine. But I blamed her because it was her idea. It wasn't mine. It was not my idea to trade. That was her. This came up later with every one of her boyfriends. They all couldn't stand the fact that we had been together. They couldn't stand it. They're like that meth head, you know, that fucking loser fat meth head or whatever. Nobody could stand it. They're like, what? And it was weird because it was like, I believe I've been with her the longest. Those people that resent me so much, you know, but I think I was with her the longest out of all those dudes. Maybe the dude she's with now is her high school beau. I don't know. I didn't grow up with her or whatever. But uh yeah. And so I made plans. I was like, this is the girl. I will get a ring. I will marry her, or at least ask her. I will follow her around. I will write her poetry. I will spy on her. I will read her texts. I will read her emails. I will talk to her friends. I will fuck her friends. I will do whatever it takes. You know, I don't care. I will give her money. I will do whatever. I will fix the problem where I stole $700 from her to the tune of 2,100. You know, I fixed all the stuff. I was like, I made plans, and but because I got her high, I think that made it impossible for her to be with me. But it wasn't my idea. And so I resented her for this for 7 years. I resented her. But it was not my idea. I did not put that pipe in her hand. She fucking, like, demanded it. You understand? It sounds crazy, like it's wishful thinking or something, but that's how it was. She knows if she's listening to me right now, one of the things I have to deal with is she might be listening to me right now. But she did fucking beg me. She begged me for like 3 weeks or something like that. And I was like, nope, 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 nope. I'm not ruining your life. I had somebody who I love tell me that somebody else ruined their life, and how you never get away from that first person. And it's true. It was true. And now I'm that dude that got her high the first time. In 20 years, when she's still dealing with it, not being high necessarily, but just the addiction. It's like you don't ever lose it. It doesn't ever go away. When your brain goes idle, you think about meth when you're like lying in bed at night and shit like this. It doesn't ever go away. It doesn't stop. And I know she thinks of me every time that fucking thought comes up. I know she thinks about me. And it wasn't my idea for that to be like that. That was her idea. She was young and inexperienced and totally did not know how to conduct a relationship correctly or a drug addiction correctly or anything like that. She was like 21 something, 22. And it hurt. I shouldn't have said yes. She shouldn't have traded. I didn't hold her to it. So then she really did actually do it. You know, but when I didn't hold her to it, that was enough to get what she traded, which was insane. When I didn't hold her to it, like, she just offered it, which is insane. And you can guess what I'm getting at here, but the problem is I had been chasing that for 5.5 years. And it was her idea to bind up all of that stuff in drug guilt. It was like drug guilt. It was like, I feel guilty. I've like corrupted this young, nubile girl. How am I different from, I don't know. I'm not like Jeffrey. I'm not some rapist or child molester, but how am I different from, say, I don't know if there's a famous television or movie like character that's known for corrupting a young girl. I don't really know. She wasn't underage. She was just too young not to know to not get high on meth. You know, she was just too young. She was still forming her, you know, her life. You know, she was like, because deciding who she was. She was experimenting with drugs, and the way she put it to me, she was like, it's better if you help me experiment with somebody who's really, really gonzo and experienced, and I feel no fear having you with me doing this. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm gonzo. There's nothing I can do with this. I know everything there is to know about it. I love drugs, you know. And she was like, yeah, I think if there was, she told me, she was like, if you keep saying no to me, I'm just going to leave this place, and I'm going to go score from one of your friends, which she did do. So yeah, so I just gave in. I was like, well, I can't stop you from doing that, so I may as well just, you know, give you what you want. Now, it was her idea to trade, My whole thing was, is just fine, let's just get you high. But it was her idea to trade. She was like, I know you don't want to do this. And I was like, I don't want to do this. I know you're going to blame me. And on top of it, I told her fucking right to her fucking face, like point blank. I was like, I believe this will sabotage anything we ever possibly could have. You know, I wasn't that clear about it, but I didn't know how to say it that clearly back then. But that was my sneaking suspicion and fear that if I did it, it would be the thing that condemned our relationship. So I was like a hard no for a while, like months, you know, like 3 months. I was like, no, no. Now, I'm sure in her idle moments, just like me, her mind wanders to the pipe, just like me. She thinks about the purple rainbow colors that show up in the nimbus of your eyes when you're high on it. And she thinks about the drainage down the back of her throat. And she thinks about the first time. And she thinks about singing duets and stuff. And she thinks about how good that high is. And she resists it. Just like me, I've resisted it for a long time, 7 years, something like that, longer than her. And I resisted it, you know, and then I got sober. I don't know, but I really wish she hadn't. I wouldn't say she forced me, but she compelled me. She compelled me to put our relationship on the fucking chopping block so she could get high. And I never should have been around her. I never should have corrupted her. I never should have said yes, but she compelled me. She was like, I'll go to your friends if you don't. And I was like, well, I can't stop that. That I know. My friends are all around and I can't stop that. So I was like, all right, fine. I'd rather it be me then. I shouldn't have done it. I should have asked her to leave, because now I feel like I turned someone else into a slave at their bidding, mind you, but it didn't change the fact that I corrupted somebody pretty much absolutely. Now, not like sexually, at least, and not like, you know, in a sinful way. If you, I don't know if you consider drugs sinful, but I didn't sinfully like besmirch her in some way. Everything's on the up and up, but the drugs were the only bad thing. And the corruption, I knew what it was. I knew what she was asking. I said no very, very pointedly and very strongly for a long, long time. It took her boiling it around in her head for like 3 months to get some fucking way to get past my wall, which was that I'm going to do it anyways. And that's something you hear out of addicts. I'm going to do it anyways, so you might as well go get me a sack. I'm going to do it anyways. You might as well help me. That's something addicts say, right? She was an addict before she even smoked it. She was like, if you don't do it, I'm gonna do it anyways. And I've heard that before out of addicts a lot. If you don't do it, I'm gonna do it anyways. I've heard that. And I should have known better. You know, there's mess songs by bands like Unwritten Law called I Should Have Known Better, right? While she was like begging me, I kept thinking about this Unwritten Law song. The lyrics to an Unwritten Law song about this particular thing. It's called no, I can't do this without DMCA, but Unwritten Law. I am having a small life crisis here today. I'm unable to sleep. I have lost the love of my life officially, and I'm reaching the closure, and I have asked for it as opposed to beg it not to happen. I asked for it this time. I'm like, no, it has to end now. I asked for it this time. I don't want this to continue. Should have known better is literally the name of the fucking song. I should have known better. Nothing lasts forever. Nothing ever lasts forever. I should have known better. Nothing lasts forever. It all started out in a tan Dodge van, $200 that we stole from her dad, out the back of his meth lab, took the 45, and I would demand that little Bonnie, about to be a mommy, came to California with Johnny. They had a run in with the law. She should have listened to her ma. As she said, we'd be together, she said. She used the word forever, she said. Oh, my lovely, lovely, she said. Why haven't I loved you longer? Why'd I love to love her? I should have known better. Nothing lasts forever. Yeah, it lasts forever, right? Abortion clinic. I should have forced the issue, but she did it with a hanger and some tissue. Don't cry. Dry your eyes, she said. I'll be back on my feet tonight, she said. I'll be walking the street tonight, she said, because these arms got to eat tonight. Then we made love like a couple of drunk buffalo. Was I rough enough? It was the last time I'd ever see her. I'd try to thank her for gonorrhea, but then she split and stole my sweater. Dude, I should have known better. Right? Should have ended in a tan Dodge van with $200 worth of partying, but instead I'm sitting on Sunset selling my soul for a hit. I was like thinking, I was humming this song. I was like, I should have known better. I kept thinking that. I was like, I know better than to give this girl drugs. I just know better. But she really, really wanted it. She like wanted it to the point where she was like offering trades and stuff. She was like, no, I'm going to do it anyways. If you won't let me, I'll just go find your friends. And I was like, all right, fine. So that's where we're at now. Like I should have known better than to go around someone so beautiful and pure. I knew what was gonna fucking happen. I told her. I warned her. I listed anecdotes of Monica talking to me about Tim G giving her her first heroin shot, and how she talked about how he killed her. He killed her. Sure, she lived another 30 years, but I mean, he did kill her. He killed her. And I related this story when I told her no. I told her why, and I told her the story. It wasn't good enough for her. She kept pressuring me. The story should have been good enough, and I blamed her. I'm not doing it anymore. This was me. I blamed her for 5 years for this because she did. She compelled me. She compelled me. And now she can't ever think about her drug of choice ever the fuck again without thinking of me and how I corrupted her, even though she begged me. And later on, she was like, this was so bad. I can't believe how bad this was. Why did I do this and all this shit? And she's starting to sort of like point it at me. And I'm like, I don't know. That was your idea. I warned you how bad it was. I told you not to do this. She was like, you kept doing it even though you knew how bad it was. And I was like, I did. I kept doing it. I'd already ruined my life. You hadn't. I had already ruined my life at that point. I was on probation, facing 10 years mandatory minimum sentencing. I'd already ruined my life at that point. It makes sense if I'm on meth. You're 22. It doesn't really make fucking sense for you to be on meth. No, you should be out drinking with your fucking friends in some bar somewhere, trying to score with the hot dude or whatever, not like hanging out in a garage at the age of 22 with a fucking 35-year-old meth addict. Like, you know, that's not really normal. And it was my idea, but it was her pressure. She wanted it more than I did. It was my idea. I went to her one day. I called her back when she still used the phone, you know? And I was like, I have found a way to make something like $300,000 to $1,000,000 in something like 2 years. And I had until Craigslist shut down. And, you know, and I was like, I want to bring you in and I want to make you a business partner. And I want to split it 50-50, and I want to date you, and I want to fuck you, and I want to marry you, and I want it to be this big thing that we do, this whole Bonnie and Clyde thing where we're outlaws for just 2.5 years or something like that. And then I promise you, at the end of the 2.5 years, I had a plan laid out. I can't talk about it now because it you know it incriminates me. But I had a plan, and we would have stuck to it except we did meth, you know, and so she blamed not doing the plan on doing meth, but I mean, I wasn't doing a lot of meth until she fucking compelled me to. I was getting sober like we didn't do a lot of meth that year, you know, we really didn't. I think we smoked maybe a total of like 40 bowls or something like that. That's maybe a month worth of meth, you know, that's not much. And we took long breaks in between and stuff. And I don't know. It takes two to tango, but it doesn't take two to blame her. She didn't know. There's nothing you can blame her for. She just did not have the life experience to not pressure me. She didn't know not to do it. She didn't know how bad it was going to be. I tried to warn her. I tried to tell her the Monica story about Tim killing her and all this stuff. I tried to tell her. I tried to warn her. And she was like, no, I've got it in my head. And when I get something in my head, I always get what I want. And if you don't give it to me, I'll go get it from somebody else, which she did. And I was like, oh, okay. All right, fine. I can't argue with you. And I'm sorry I brought you to this place. I told her, I was like, I'm sorry I brought you to this place. I feel like if I hadn't brought you to this place, you wouldn't be in this situation now. And she's like, that's right. And I was like, So I blamed her for compelling me, trading me, making it a thing, making it about my honor to not accept what she was offering, making it about like that to the point where I was just not ready. I wasn't ready. I don't know. And I blamed her. I didn't know. I blamed her until this year, and I didn't know how much to the extent that I had blamed her. This girl did nothing but love me. She saved my life, got me clean, helped me out when I was in the darkest place of my whole fucking life, and I thanked her by turning her into a drug addict. It was her idea, but if I had never brought meth around her in the first place, she never would have wanted meth in the first place. So it's like, it's me. I can blame me. That's why I say to her when I show up and I pay her for the money I stole, I say, I'm sorry. I was trying to control you. I thought you were in a bad situation that wouldn't end unless I took control of it and all this stuff. And she was like, I get it. I understand what you were doing. I see it now. And I was like, And that sucks, coming back and being like, I jacked you for money and stuff. And I should have known then. I told her in that conversation, in that hotel parking lot, the same hotel that I ripped her off from. I was sitting in the parking lot when I told her about it, that same motel. I was working my shift and I realized that I needed to tell her before I committed suicide. So I drove up to the motel that she had been staying at, which was the extended stay down there somewhere in Colorado. And I like parked in the parking lot in the motel to remind myself of what I had done that night. And then I called her and I was like, yeah, I don't have my car anymore. I'm in my friend's truck. I don't have your money anymore that I jacked. And she was like, you jacked me? And I was like, yeah, I jacked you. And I made amends, but I thanked her by giving her a meth addiction, I guess. And so these are the things that I cite when I say never speak to me again. It's not because I don't love her. It's not because I don't love you or her. Or I'm speaking in the channel like she's listening to me right now. I don't know, but I never know. I never know if she's there. That's another thing. She's like my guardian angel or some shit, because I never know if she's there or not. So I live my life like she is, So I push her away for a year. I was like, I jacked you for money. Here's your money. I'm going to go commit suicide now. She was like, no, come back to me. Like, don't do that. Like, it's okay. I forgive you. And she saved my soul, like, by forgiving me, because she didn't have to forgive me. I don't think most people would have, but she's beautiful enough to do that. And she forgave me like wholehearted. She was like, no, I actually see what you were doing, and I'm actually glad you did do it. And if you're going to pay me back, I don't care that you did it. And I was like, okay, cool. And I paid her back and she was cool. So I'm not saying never speak to me again because I'm mad at you. I'm saying never speak to me again because I have been the most terrible thing to ever happen to you, and that must end. And I blame me. And that's what I've been trying to get out of my mouth for 2 hours, and I blame me. I blame me. I blamed her for a long time and I didn't know. Deep down, you ever do like subconscious stuff? I subconsciously blamed her for 6 fucking years because she compelled me to get her high. And I blamed her for it. The truth is, she just didn't know any better. It's my fault. I'm the corrupt drug addict who went around and corrupted somebody who wasn't corrupt before. I'm the one who brought that nasty, sinful business around her. I'm the person who deserved what I got. She never did anything bad. So here we are. Ugh, 500 hours in Aeon
Greetings, Inter.
2? You put 500 hours into Ion 2? Why?
I hope everyone is doing well.
I
One
don't
thing,
like that this guy has the name Furor in his name at all, and he does strike me as a crazy Nazi dude, and I can't believe I subbed to him, did I? Oh, unsub. Nope, this guy, his appearance scares me, and 500 hours on Ion scares me. I'm just gonna get off it. Arkansas is in trouble. Trump doesn't want you seeing this ahead of midterms. MK Ultra serial killers, the best evidence. Why is nobody talking about this indie game? Because it's fucking 2D. Here's the American economy is built on scams and schemes. All the time she comes back and she wants to renew the friendship. And I say, but we're not dating. We're not together. You had children with other dudes. I am not your boyfriend. We don't live in the same state. And all that stuff I did. All that corruption that I did to you, all that stuff I did. And so I say, this isn't it. And then, but then she comes back. She comes back and she talks to me. And she's like, you're my only friend. And all this stuff. And I'm like, oh. Like the last time that we had the fight over her boyfriend catfishing me, she was like, I can't believe you're my only friend. And I was like, it's weird, but I've heard that from like 10 humans in the last 2 years. I can't believe you're my only friend. It's a weird phrase. They say it to hurt me. She said it last summer. She was like, I can't believe you're my only friend. I can't believe it either. I don't know. So she comes back. I think because I'm her only friend. I don't know, the only person who actually loves her. Like whether she talks to me or not. I fucking love her whether she loves me. I love her whether she doesn't love me. I love her whether she talks to me or not. I don't care. I just love her with all my heart and soul. It doesn't go away. It's until somebody better comes along. It's not going to go away. It's love. It's fucking shitty. It's so unfair. I think it's the worst thing that's ever happened to me, maybe, for the best person. And love is also something I blamed her for. The coldest, hardest things I've ever said were to her. Stuff like, do not speak to me ever again. I've never said that to anybody else but her. But I mean it. Do not speak to me ever again. I can't be this terrible dark force in your life anymore, waiting for years for something that's not going to happen. It's not fair, for me or you. And then she comes back. And I know why they come back. I'm a lot of people's only friend, I think. I have no issues maintaining friendships for years and years unless I'm in love with the girl. That then it becomes very difficult for me to keep it going, actually. But other than that, I'm pretty good at keeping friendships going for fucking years. I don't have any enemies, except for like one girl that didn't like me because I was in love with Cloud, but that's it. So, now I'm like, I don't know. I think the right thing, it's time to start doing the right thing. I never ever should have handed her a meth pipe in the first fucking place. So the next best thing I can do is just never ever be a dark corrupting force in her life ever again, even if she wants it. I think when she comes back to me, she's actually looking to relapse. And I think that's what she's thinking about. I don't want to be that person that she thinks about when she wants to relapse. And I warned her that I didn't want to be that person that she thought about when she compelled me for months to get her high. I told her, I was like, I don't want to be that person that you hate because I got you high, you know? That's what happened. And I resented her. I resented her for 5 years over it. And I didn't even know that until today. Now I know. It was so deep and so subconscious. I was like, oh my God. When I finally said goodbye, like the real goodbye, where I got an all right out of her, never again, I was like, okay, I finally got the goodbye out of her, which is what I should have got a long time ago. But she always, she always re-ups this friendship. She always comes back to me. You would think it would be the desperate dude who's twice her age, who's fat and ugly and poor, trying to get some play or trying to get the love of his life back in his life or whatever. You would think it's me, but I don't go back into her life. I don't text her. I haven't texted her on purpose since 2023, I think. But she texts me. And I think I've been corrupting her in another way, which is not saying no. And I think I'm probably just going to start saying no now, like, and or just staying blocked and never ever responding to the texts. I think I mean do not speak to me ever again, because the best thing that I could possibly do for the woman who I have loved the most in my entire fucking life is just not be me and not be around her, you know? So I don't do drugs. I don't destroy my life. I don't harm my family. I don't do anything to harm anybody. I just try to keep my head down. I really don't want anybody else to come around ever again. Not even her. I don't, I find myself voluntarily becoming that old, secluded, what do they call this, eccentric writer that lives in, like, you know, in the top of the house and has a beautiful house but doesn't ever leave the house or whatever. That's me now. I'm Hikiko Mori. Another thing about her is she's Hikiko Mori. She's the only Hikiko Mori girl I've ever met, but she's full blown Hikiko Mori. She does not leave the house almost ever. You could call that agoraphobia, but I mean, it's more like Hikiko Mori. She doesn't want to be around other people, I don't think, besides her like boyfriend and her family, which is fine. I'm a social person despite having being so reclusive. I'm a very social person, and uh the the Hikiko Mori thing, I would love to just disappear into this house and never come back out again, but I don't think I have it in me. I don't think I have true Hikiko Mori in me. I've got, I don't like humanity, right? So I never voluntarily go around them if I can help it, because I just assume it's going to be some form of loss for me, because it almost always is, you know, except for family and love, you know. So, and so you could call me Hikikomori because I don't leave the house that much. Like, you know, once or twice a month to go shopping, or I go out walking most days, but not always and stuff. I am outside. I'm a very active person in terms of like exercise and shit. I am outside. I walked 8 miles yesterday, or was it eight? No, it was, I think, 6 miles yesterday. Um, and like, I don't know. I don't know if another Hikikomori girl, it would be good for me, because I've already completely left humanity. Like you guys know, I've left humanity, right? How you know is the phone never ever rings, right? And you know, because I'm on here 14 hours a day. My mother is my help proxy, so all the doctor phone calls get routed through her phone. So I don't take business calls on this phone. It's only a personal phone, so that I can answer the phone when she's in trouble or needs help or wants, you know, company or whatever. It's to answer my mother when she calls. And you'll understand, I've been doing this stream now for 4 years. Have you ever heard this phone ring besides my mother? No. And that's Hikikomori. That's what happens to Hikikomoris. And I don't know if I want to settle down with another hikikomori. I don't think so. When we met, we pretty much holed up in a garage with each other and lived in the same bed for a year, and we didn't leave the house. That was like the first thing we did, you know. And she loved it. She hated the place. She was really bothered by the garage. It was gross. She had to pee in a bottle and shit like this. But but she loved just being in that fucking place, just not having to deal with humanity, not having to do anything, not having to go work or anything like that. She is a kikomori. And it's one of the things that really turned me on about her. She's so much like me. She has the same eye color, the same temperament, sort of, the same temper tantrums, the same drug addiction, the same music tastes. It sucked how much we actually were compatible for how little we are compatible, you know? And I'm done whining now. It's not whining, it's this thing about like I had epiphany tonight, and I'm having like a mental breakdown sort of, where I began to understand that I've been blaming my best friend for all my problems for the last like 3 years, 5 years, something. And no, she's never done anything wrong to me. It sounds like somebody who's completely deluded, like some kind of cuck or something. But no, or simp. But I'm not a simp. Like honestly, the girl's never wronged me. I can't think of a time she's ever wronged me. Not, even now, I'm wronging her by saying goodbye. She doesn't deserve that. She doesn't deserve me to say goodbye. But I did. I said goodbye last summer because she's settling down with some other dude and having children. I'm not going to hang around.
If you've ever worked in the insurance space, you know that the business model promoted by many companies here in America.
I don't like halfway relationships. I've got way too fucking many of them. My friends are like that. They only see me once a year or something like that. They're like halfway friends. My they're real friends, and I would die for them, but they're halfway friends in the respect that they can't be in my life. I don't live in the same state. I don't have the same amount of money. I don't have the same interests anymore. I don't do the same things they do. We're not really compatible anymore, me and my best friends. It's fucking annoying, but we are, like, personality wise and history wise, and we love each other, and I visit them every year in the summer. But like, but it's not how it used to be. We don't share the same stuff in common anymore. They don't, like, some of them do have like hard drug habits, but they don't have the history I have. Or, well, Jed does. um I no, Jed has the same experience. He doesn't have the same history. And or more. Jed might have more experience than me, actually. I don't know. I don't know what he was doing when I was out of town. Anyways, uh I am done with halfway relationships. I'm not ever waiting for a woman ever the fuck again. And it took me all my life until I was 43 years old before I could tell myself that I had enough value. It's not imposter syndrome. It's just like understanding that you've never seen more than $3,000 in one place in one time. You're the poorest of the poor. So it's not imposter syndrome because I can believe that I can be successful. It's fear of success. And my fear of success causes halfway relationships, halfway friendships, halfway family, halfway holidays, halfway everything. And I'm kind of done doing halfway things. If Cloud wants my time, she's got to marry me. I don't want her taking any more of my time anymore. I don't. I love her, and I would give her all my time if given the chance to. But I don't think I want to give her any more of my time because I'm not her. I'm not her one. She's mine. You know? I'm not the one for her. She is for me, though, which is fucking annoying. So then you just, what do? Do you stay there for the rest of your fucking life just being emotionally unavailable to other people? Do you wait for a chance that's never going to come? Do you resent the person like I did, like subconsciously, until I finally caught myself doing it and realized it and stopped it? Because she's never done anything to me ever. She's never ever wronged me. So I like, it's really wrong of me to blame her for anything. She's never even compelling me was in the end my decision, not hers. You know, she compelled me pretty strongly, but it was my decision to say yes, and I did, and it was my fault. You know, even that I think I was blaming her for, but no, it was me.
Perfectly mirrors the business model promoted by this country as a whole. Now, I can only...
There was times when she needed somebody to save her, and I offered and she said no. And I really needed her to say yes. And I was blaming her for that. I really needed her to say yes. She was R-worded pretty fucking badly. And boy, I would like to solve that motherfucking problem. And I'm fairly sure she thinks that I'm just indifferent because she's used that language before. She's like, you seem indifferent. I'm not indifferent. When I ask permission to go solve that fucking problem, if you get what I mean, she said no. And it's not just one problem. It's like 5. And I want to solve all 5 of them, which is another reason why I say stuff like, do not speak to me ever again.
Speak from my experience, but I remember vividly in 2019, whenever I
first... put my headphones in. I have to pee. I'll be right back. Looks like an all-nighter. I don't think I can sleep. I can never sleep. Like, when the women come and fuck with me, she came to me, she texted me. When the women come and fuck with me, I can't sleep. I lose at least 2 days, and I hate it. I fucking hate it. It's not fair for my job. It's not fair for me. I'm just trucking along, haven't spoken to you in 9 months or some shit. You could have had another baby by now or whatever, and you text out of the fucking blue, and then I can't sleep for 2 days? Come on, man. Like, come on. She made our first sexual congress a transaction. That was not my idea. I resented her for it. I don't anymore. It's my fault somehow.
If you've ever worked in the insurance...
The one time was the worst sex of my fucking life, because I had just had a deep vein thrombosis in my left thigh, and I had blood circulation issues, and probably ED. I was a meth addict. I was 37 or something. I probably had ED, frankly. I'm not afraid to say it. I don't have shame issues around that. I have a good dick, you know. But it was the worst sex of my life. Because because it was transactional. It was fucking transactional. That was not my idea, you know? And I resented her for that. And I'm realizing now that I still do. And I'm just going to let that one go. That's not really, that's neither here nor there, you know? So then when it finally wasn't transactional, it was the best sex of my life, you know? But something about it, like, I don't know, like, you know, I had an ex-girlfriend cheat on me, and she told me why. She was like, you know, sex is how I relate to people. And I was like, that seems insane to me. You don't maybe think a handshake might be more appropriate or something? It's sort of weird. She was like, nope. And I was like, okay, that's why you cheated on me? And it's like, yeah, I want to fuck somebody, so I do. And it's like, okay. Well, and she shaved her head bald after that too, which was crazy. That was my second girlfriend, like Britney Spears. It was nuts. When I saw her with the Britney Spears dome, I shat myself. I damn near did. I was like, oh my God, that's my ex-girlfriend on the light rail. And her head is shaved bald. And she like ran up and hugged me and shit. And I was like, what? Why are you bald? I was like, are you sick? I think I did. I was like, are you sick? I think I asked her, I was like, are you sick? And she was like, no. So you never really forgave me for cheating on you. And I was like, no, I didn't. No. And she was like, yeah, I kind of went through hell there for about 7 months, and I shaved my head bald when I was crazy one night. And I was like, really? Okay. Anyways, so now I can't stop thinking about the worst sex of my life and also the best sex of my life. Because during the best sex of my life, I still whispered something in her ear, and it was actually the coldest thing I've ever maybe said. I was like, you don't know how to love. And this comes up a lot, doesn't it? I think that is the coldest, hardest thing I've ever said to somebody. I was like, you don't know how to love. And she was like, what? And I was like, you don't know how to love. You don't know how to physically love somebody, and you definitely don't know how to emotionally love somebody. You know how to be in love with somebody, but you've never actually been in a long-term relationship good enough to know what it is to truly love someone with all your heart and soul. She was like, yeah, I don't really usually feel that way. And I was like, cool. I mean, that's your business or whatever. But when you go and try, and I resented her for this, but this is my fault, kind of. This is my fault, not hers. When I was young, I was broken in, if you were. I was broken in by a very promiscuous raver girl when I was like 15. She took my virginity like quite ferociously. And her thing was getting really high on ecstasy, piling into a shower with like 5 other girls and maybe 1 or 2 dudes or something, and making out and fucking. Her thing was like mass orgies while you're rolling on ecstasy. And while she couldn't convince me to do any of that stuff, she definitely left me with a lifelong appreciation of deep French kissing. The kind of French kissing you do when you're rolling on ecstasy, naked in a shower with 5 other naked girls. Not like movie kissing where it's like, oh, love of my life, I'm kissing her finally or something. It's not movie kissing we're talking about here. We're talking about snogging, like full blown, like face over face, like deep French making out, you know, and tongues and mouths and stuff. And I have slept with some younger women between the ages of like 20 and 30 now. Because of Craigslist and other situations and stuff. But like the youngest I think I went was like 20, something like that. And their generations, those 2 generations, they don't know how to deep kiss. They don't know how to be physically intimate. They don't know how to be loving or intimate at all. And the sex is like porn sex. It's not like I've been in love with you for 2 years and I've never touched your vagina before, you know, kind of like, you know, like intimate. I'm going to explore your body now intimately, kind of love sex, you know. I'm going to find out what your vagina finally feels like, you know, and it's my life stream or whatever, right? When I finally did find out what her vagina felt like, it was so amazing. But anyways, so they can't kiss, and that's a fucking deal breaker for me. She can deep kiss, and I had to teach her. I had to teach her how to do it. She had no fucking idea. And then she didn't like it either. She was like, no, I wouldn't normally do this. And I'm like, that's okay. But, you know, like for me, that first girl that I was with, she set how I react to physical love and affection and sex and stuff for the rest of my life. And I need not only like deep kissing, but also caressing, touching, intimacy, deep penetration, squirting, stuff like that. Like real, getting the girl to give you control over her body and stuff like that, to take her someplace. I'm into tantric and stuff like that. I like sex, you know. I like sex. I've had a lot of sex. Something about women from in their 20s right now, something like 20s to early 30s, they didn't have like under the bleachers snog makeout sessions. I don't think they didn't have like you know, raver sex. They didn't have passion sex or deep kissing and stuff. That's not something that's normal in my experience. They really want to give you a blow job, and I actually don't like blow jobs for two reasons. One being that I am very, very sensitive because I am I'm circumcised now, but I was only circumcised when I was like 42 years old because I had to have an emergency C-section, circumspection or circumcision, because my dick wouldn't go down. It like just got hard one day, and it wouldn't stop being hard for like eight hours, you know. And I thought I was gonna die. It's really terrible when that happens. It becomes red, and it turns out that the skin around my dick was so tight that it was like it had become like a tourniquet of skin around the ring of the tip of my penis, and this caused me to have to get an adult circumcision when I was like 41. And that was the ED I spoke of about the worst sex I've ever had in my life. I had erectile dysfunction the first time we had transactional sex, or whatever. Not, well, sex that was transactional. But the first time we ever had sex was transactional, and that was her idea. She I don't think she wanted to date, you know? So, Kitty, sit down. I need touching. I need to feel like I have my arm all the way around her ass, and I need to feel like I've got my arm and shoulder around her, and we're like and we're like snogging deep and stuff, and she's starting to ride me and shit like that. And that's like a necessity for me. That was what she did the second time. And that was my idea, not hers. And it was the best sex of my fucking life. It was probably the worst sex for her because it's like, you know, he's twice her age, fat, ugly. It probably wasn't amazing for her, but it was like, but I mean, she liked it. But it, you know, but it wasn't amazing probably for her. But it was the best sex of my life because she let me dictate how she acted. And I told her, you have to deep kiss me, you have to ride me, and we don't start out riding. You have to like do it because you want to. And it's weird because she was like 22, but I had to teach her how to have sex, which is crazy. That is enough of an age to actually get some experience having sex and stuff. But she was a noob, which is okay. But like, so am I guess, sort of, not really though. But she was a noob compared to me because I'm twice her age, right? And something about it, like I told her, I was like, first you're gonna have to kiss me for like 15 minutes and like deep tongue kiss. And she was like, I don't like doing that. And I was like, well, then let's not do this. And she's like, no, I do want to do this. And I was like, well, then this is what it's gotta be. You understand? It's not like I'm weird and I'm some voyeur that's got to watch people have sex to get a boner or something. I need deep kissing, affection, and love if I'm going to like have sex. It's just something that has to be there for me. I can't just like mechanically fuck you like a porn star. I don't have that in me. I need deep kissing, intimacy, and affection. You'd be surprised how many girls will not do that. They just will not do that. Most of the girls I've ever been with will not do that. I've had about 6 that are really good at it, and about 35 who are not. They're just not looking to have intimate sex. They want to get pounded, right? That's okay. Sometimes there's those moments too. But even before I'm going to reach that, I'm going to need some kind of deep kissing and affection and intimacy, or it's not going to happen for me. I'll get hard and we can fuck if you want. but it's not fun for me because I live for that moment of a deep, deep connection with a woman with my tongue in her fucking mouth, or vice versa. Maybe she's like getting real wet and she's like getting ready to ride me and stuff. And I let her like that through that second session. I was like, okay, first you're going to deep kiss me for 15 minutes. Then I'm going to deep kiss you and you're just going to let me, and I'm going to finger you. And then you're going to get so fucking horny that you're just going to get on top of me and ride me. And I'm not going to tell you to do it. I'm going to make you wait until you do it. And that's exactly what happened. And I like fingered her until she was so fucking horny. She just got on top of me and started riding and shit. And that was the best sex of my goddamn life, right? It was the best goddamn sex of my fucking life. And it was because like she had never had intimate sex before, I don't think. Had no idea how to do it. So for her, it was kind of like a driving lesson or something. It was kind of insane. As she got into it, she really enjoyed it, you know, and I did too. And I don't think she wanted to, but she did. She didn't want to enjoy that. I don't think she didn't want to enjoy it as much as she did, but she fucking enjoyed it. It was fun. And I was like, yeah, like, trust me, I know what I need to get off, and you've got to do that for me, or we're not doing this at all. And she was like, okay, I guess I'll do that for you. If we're going to do this, she was like, you know, we never did fuck. That was her thing. She was like, we never did fuck. I want to know. She was just like the drugs. She was like, I want to know. I want to know. And I was like, I want to know. And she was like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, you're in the mood? And she was like, yeah, I'm in the mood right now. And I was like, okay, if we do this, you're going to have to do what I want. And she was like, what? And I was like, you have to do what I want, because if you expect me to just pound you like a porn star, I can do that. But remember, I love you with all my heart and soul. I am in this for the romance, and I want to love fuck you. Do you get it? And she's like, yeah. Now, she was with her first boyfriend at that time. Not boyfriend, sorry. The father of her first child, but they were open, I guess, is their thing, I guess, or was their thing, or at least, I don't know what that means, but yeah, they're like open. I don't do open, or I do open if it's her, but I mean, I don't care if a girl sleeps around, if they're honest about it or whatever. So she got permission to come see me, which is just fucking crazy. I can't even imagine having a life like that. She got permission to come fucking see me. And I was like, if we're going to do this, you have to do what I say. And she was like, why? And I was like, because I don't think you know how to get me off. I don't think you've had the experience. We've done this once before, and I don't think you know how to make love. And I'm not looking to fuck you like a porn star. I think that's what you want. And I'll give that to you later in the session. But I'm not giving that to you at the start of the session. You have to work me up to it, which means deep kissing. You gotta let me finger you. I'm gonna suck on your tits. I'm gonna lick all over your fucking body. I'm gonna explore every crevice. Your fucking armpits. You'll be lucky if I don't lick your armpits. You understand? I'm gonna learn every inch of your fucking body. I'm gonna hold your hair while I fuck you. I'm gonna run my fingers through your fucking hair and shit like this, and I'm gonna keep my finger in your pussy this entire fucking thing for like 20 minutes. And I did, you know, and I got her so worked up that she was like, I have to get on top. And I was like, this is what I want. Yes, get on top. And that was the best sex of my life. And it sucks. It sucks that I have to, like, you would think that the people or women, or I don't even know if it's women, I think it's people actually, you would think that people would just arrive to that on their own. It's not hard to have intimate, fun sex. It's not hard. It's quite natural, in my opinion, to like snog like bunnies and, you know, fucking, and then fuck, right? That's not that hard. But ever since then, I keep thinking, what else can I resented her for like 5 years because I kept thinking like, well, and we had like one more time like that, but then never again. You know, it just wasn't on the table for anymore. She was in long-term relationships and just wasn't open and wasn't, you know, open to it. That's okay. And I didn't even live in the same state after that. It was just over. You know, the whole thing was over. It's been over for like 5-6 years. But I don't want to feel like I have to train a girl how to treat me with affection and intimacy. I think that's something normal people do really easily, but something about her and maybe some of the other women her age too. I've seen this with other girls. I've had to train other girls too. I don't like training girls, but they do. They're like, they like for something about it. They're like, what gets you off? What do you want? And I'm like, what you want isn't something that you're going to want to give me, or what I want is something you probably won't want to give me, which is like most girls, when they do a swipe right, or like a Tinder date, or like a casual sex thing, they're thinking about the fucking. They're not thinking about kissing or intimacy or touching or whatever. They want that dick in their pussy pretty much immediately, and you would be surprised. Like, I'm cool, that's fine, we can do that, but I actually really like working up to it with foreplay for about 20 minutes, to the point where the girl's so frenzied that she's just riding me, like she can't help it. She's just like full blown, like, oh my God, I gotta get on top of you now, that kind of stuff. And that's what I did to her. I don't think any of those other boys have ever done that to her, and I don't think that any of them ever will. And I've done this for like 10 women or something like that. I made the girl named H, the one before her that hates me because I liked Cloud more than her. I made her squirt all over the goddamn wall for the first time, which was fucking insane. And I had never made a girl squirt until then. And then I made her do it a lot more, And I stopped doing stuff like that because she got a yeast infection. Because I was kind of just like all over the place. And when I realized how gross that was for her and me, I was just like, oh yeah, I don't think I want to do kinky sex anymore. It seems like if you cross holes or like mess around, or you have loose definitions of borders and such or whatever between butthole and pussy or whatever, it is actually sort of unsafe for the girl's sexual and body organ health, because it's like sometimes they can get nasty infections that way. So I was like, and I learned the hard way from a yeast infection how nasty that can be, so I sort of stopped being that way. But once I trained Cloud, I understood that that's my biggest turn on, training Cloud. Right? It's my biggest turn on, and it always will be, training Cloud. Cloud is a sexual dynamo. I don't know how else to say it. Cloud is a very virile, nubile woman. Just leave it at that. I keep thinking, I know it's selfish, and I resent her, and I don't resent her now, but anymore. I know, and I'm like self-examining the behavior and stuff. But I would really like to finish training Cloud. I don't think she's ever had good sex like that. I don't think these dudes that she's with have any idea what the act of physical lovemaking actually is, and it shows. And I would like to train Cloud for like 10 years every night, what's that movie, 50 Shades of Grey. I would like to 50 Shades of Grey Cloud for about 5 years. I'm dead serious. And everybody knows, all her boyfriends know, everybody knows. It's so stupid. Like, that's the love of your life. You want to do nasty things to her for years, every day. I want to see everything that ever turned her on. One of the things we used to do is masturbate together. I like talking about sex, but to me, I'm also getting closure. I don't like talking about other, like, girls and stuff. I don't like talking about this, but one of the things we really did a lot was mutual masturbation, because she liked masturbating more than sex. She had been raped. So I was like, oh yeah, I mean, I like jacking off too. Yeah. And she was like, you'll jack off with me? She was like, you'll Jill off with me? And I was like, you'll Jill off with me? Yeah. And that was amazing. Never had that with a woman before, where I could just be like, well, I'm horny, and are you? And they either say yes or no, depending. And if they say yes, you say, well, you want to watch some porn or whatever? And yeah, that girl wants to masturbate. She does. So like, that was amazing. That's a form of intimacy that she taught me. She taught me. I want to see what she can train me, which was, I had never jacked off with a girl before. I had fucked girls, and I've, had blowjobs and all types of stuff, but I had never just like put on a porn with a girl and just sat there while she like spread her legs and jilled off, and I'll never ever be able to forget it. I'll never forget the experiences. I'll never be able to forget what she looked like. I'll never forget how she felt, what we did, how she did it. She would watch, she's bi, so she likes girls and stuff, and she liked lesbian porn, which blew my mind. So we just put on lesbian porn and shit, and she's jacking it as hard as I am. It was insane. The girl's gay, full blown. That's another thing. I kind of wonder if her husband or her boyfriends or whatever the fuck, or like, the baby mama dudes or whatever, or whatever, baby daddy guys are like, is I don't know, but I don't think any of these people care about her at all. I don't think they care if she gets off. I don't think they care if she's happy. I don't think they care if she takes care of their kids or not. I don't think anybody appreciates her except me. And I haven't even seen her in 5 years. Now, I don't know who she's dating right now. Or I do. I've met him at least. But he was not a nice person, and he doesn't strike me as the sort of person to give a flying fuck about whether or not his woman is happy or not, because I don't think he does, And these images, like I've been with like 40 women, I can like see almost all of them and stuff, but I would like to finish training, like I felt like I was training that girl to be my wife and do nasty things with me for the rest of my fucking life. And she was gung-ho, she was ready to do it. If you're if she'll just whip down the panties and start jacking it right in front of you, that girl was like down to clown, This is something that I think about a lot. I'm like, God damn it. What would I give? What would I give to finish like a 5-year relationship like that? Like, it doesn't have to be the rest of our lives if she doesn't want it or whatever, but there's unfinished stuff there. There's a lot of unfinished stuff there. She was sleeping around on her boyfriends and shit with me. That's not stuff you do unless you have unfinished business, and I don't like talking about it like that, but that's the fucking truth. She was broken up with them at the time, but I mean, like, but but she was living with them, you understand? Like, so it's sort of weird, but I mean, like, that's how strong the connection was. And that was back when I was fat. I've lost 150 pounds. So now I wonder, like, now I don't have the ED from the fucking, the skin getting tight around my penis anymore. Now I'm like skinnier and healthier and stuff. And it's like, I would really like to train Cloud and raise her kids. Those are the two things in my life that I want. And I resented her for 5 years, thinking that I was just asking too much, or that I'm just not good enough, or that I had just got her high and bungled it all up or fucked it all up or whatever it was. Now, I don't know. I think it's more that I'm never going to get what I want, so I should just stop asking, I don't think it's that selfish to want to train Cloud for 5 years to be the perfect lover. I don't think it's that selfish to want to raise her kids. I'm not sure the dudes want to raise her kids, for instance, but I do. And it's weird. So it's like, do you let it go? Do you walk away? I walked away. I said goodbye yesterday. You understand? Like, I said goodbye forever. I was like, no, do not speak to me ever again. And this is not because I don't want to talk to you. It's because you shouldn't talk to me. I'm not your caliber. I'm not it. I've got too many idiosyncrasies.
Space, that the business
I'm
model.
gonna put my headphones back in. I don't like talking about this so openly, but if I'm to get my closure, this is how I do it.
Promoted by many companies here in America perfectly mirrors the business model promoted by this country.
Let's see what's on YouTube about is waiting for someone wise.
Stress is sneaky. It doesn't knock at your door. It slides under the rug, fills your mind with noise, and slowly drains your energy. But here's the truth.
And of course I have that that picture perfect dream of, there's this song that I think about when I think of cloud. It's called Willie O. Winsbury. It's an old Irish folk song. It's very beautiful and it's very well written, and they don't write them like this anymore. And I love this song. It's a huge inspiration to me. I'll read the lyrics because it's short. The king had been a prisoner at a prison long in Spain, and Willie of the Winsbury has lain long with his daughter at home. What ails you, my daughter Jaden? Why you look so pale and wan? Have you had any sore sickness, or yet been sleeping with a man? I have not had any sore sickness, nor yet been sleeping with a man. It is for you, my father dear, for biding so long in Spain. Cast off your berry brown gown. You stand naked upon the stone, that I may know you by your shape, if you be a maiden or no. And she's cast off her berry brown gown. She stood naked upon the stone. Her apron was low, and her haunches were round. Her face was pale and wan. Oh, was it with a lord or a duke or a knight or a man of birth and fame? Or was it with one of my serving men that's lately come out of Spain? No, it wasn't with a lord, nor a duke or a knight, nor a man of birth and fame, but it was with Willie of Winsbury. I could bide no longer alone. And when I learned about this song, I decided that I wanted to be Willie of Winsbury. Or Willie O. Winsbury is how they call it. Willie O. Winsbury. I am Willie O. Winsbury. I've named Russ characters after that and stuff. I am Willie O. Winsbury. I want to be Willie O. Winsbury, and I have my eye on my Janet, and I want her and just her. The king has called on his merry men. No, I'm sorry. No, it wasn't with a lord, nor a duke or a knight, nor a man of birth and fame, but it was with Willie O. Winsbury. I could bide no longer alone. The king has called on his merry men all, by 30 and by 3, and I swear to God, these are my favorite lyrics of all time by my favorite singer, Meg Baird, from the Espers and stuff. The king has called on his merry men all by 30 and by 3, saying, fetch me this Willie O. Winsbury, for hanged he shall be. But when he came the king before, he was clad all in the red silk. His hair was like strands of gold. His skin was as white as the milk. And it is no wonder, said the king, that my daughter's love you did win. For if I was a woman as I am a man, my bedfellow you would have been. Now will you marry my daughter Janet by the truth of your right hand? Oh, will you marry my daughter Janet? I'll make you lord of my land. Well, yes, I'll marry your daughter Janet by the truth of my right hand. Well, yes, I'll marry your daughter Janet, but I'll not be the lord of your land. And this is my favorite lyric of all time. This is why I waited for Cloud for 7 years. He's mounted her on a milk-white steed, himself on a dapple gray. He has made her the lady of as much land as she shall ride on a long summer's day. Now, I own 40 acres, and if this job ever goes anywhere, I could own 2 horses. And it is a life's dream to mount her on a milk-white steed and myself on a dapple gray and ride across as much land as I can ride on a long summer's day in my land and my house, and not like Willie O. Winsbury, and I've got my eyes on Janet. It's fucking annoying. I don't know how else to say it. It's love. It's not easy. It doesn't go away. She can never speak to me again. It's not going to go away. It's not fair.
You can make it invisible. Let's start with a simple truth. Thoughts are not commands. Your brain is like a wild parrot sometimes. It squawks endlessly, pointing out every fear, every what-if scenario, every tiny mistake you've made. But here's the secret. Just because your mind thinks it doesn't mean you have to follow it. Most people think stress is about the outside world. It's not. It's entirely inside your head. That buzzing, racing, I'm doomed feeling, that's mental chatter. And like background noise in a busy city, you can learn to tune it out.
Yeah.
Step 1, awareness. Notice the thought without judgment. If your brain says, I'm going to fail, don't fight it. Don't argue. Just label it. Ah, that's a stress thought. Suddenly, you're no longer the thought. You're the observer. And being an observer gives you freedom. Here's a story. Albert Einstein, one of the smartest humans to ever live, had an incredible ability to let thoughts pass without attachment. When he struggled with complex equations, he didn't panic. He would let ideas simmer in the background, almost like putting them on a mental shelf. Eventually, clarity would arrive. He didn't force focus. He let his mind
Yeah, I do this a lot too. I'm like, I will give in to the whispers of my mind, and I'm just gonna let it dance me around like a carousel until I arrive at the fucking merry-go-round that I want to be at.
ignore the clutter until the important thoughts surface. Ball player ever missed thousands of shots early in his career. He didn't dwell on
Sorry,
The
the
trick-
piece of shit software developer always has to skip the video with this stupid ass macros and scripts and keybinds on keyboards that people don't use, that people don't know how to use. We could kill the software developers and maybe take the mouse 4 back, mouse 5 forward thing away. Maybe we could kill the software developers to stop the mouse 4 going back. But these days, I think every video gets skipped at least 8 or 10 times now. And I really would like these software developers to face some sort of punishment for that, because it is really, really, really painful. Not death. Maybe they could lose their company or their websites, something like that. But the software developers should feel pain when they skip the video around 22 times because you accidentally hit a button or something and then you can't find your way back again. They could easily show you where you were with one little pin, but they're not competent. They just steal money and fuck children. That's what software developers do. Some of them.
isn't to silence it entirely. It's to redirect
Please don't
attention.
skip it. Please don't skip it again. You skip all around, all the time, all night. Skip, all over the fucking video like I pressed a button and I didn't.
Without attachment. When he struggled with complex equations, he didn't panic. He would let ideas simmer in the background, almost like putting them on a mental shelf. Eventually, clarity would arrive. He didn't force focus. He let his mind ignore the clutter until the important thoughts surfaced. Now, I know what you're thinking, but my mind won't stop. And that's normal. Minds are trained to worry because evolution favored survival.
I'm thinking about sex with her because it's like closure for me. That's going to be the last time I think about sex with her, you know? It's public, it's unfair, it's, you know, but I mean, it's my life. I can talk about it if I want to, you know? I don't think I ever want to think about fucking her ever again. I think I would like to forget she exists, you know? That's something I can do. I am an amnesiac. Every year that passes by, it gets harder to remember stuff. I get older. I don't get better at it. I get worse at it. You know, I get older and my memory is worse. And one day, probably not that far either, probably another 20 years or something, but around probably like 60, 65, I'm not going to be able to remember her name. You know, I'll be completely gone. I'll be able to probably do content and play video games and stuff, but I won't remember. I won't remember her. And I'll remember her, but I won't remember her name probably, you know, and I'll struggle to remember, you know. It's unfortunate.
Survival. Worrying meant our ancestors avoided lions. Today, it just means your brain thinks traffic and emails are lions. The trick isn't to silence it entirely, it's to redirect attention. Step 2. Anchor yourself in the body. Stress thoughts exist in the mind, but the mind is tied to the body. Take a deep breath, feel your feet on the ground, notice your hands. When your body says, "I'm okay," your mind starts listening. You can even try a little micro movement, tapping your fingers, stretching or shaking your shoulders. Simple physical action reminds your brain that now is safe. Step 3. Choose where your focus goes. Imagine a spotlight.
I'm going to go to bed. I love you guys. You've been watching Skycatlive. It's 6 a.m. I can't sleep because I have just like mentally broke down my way through life or whatever. Now I'm basically a mental breakdown, you know? I'm a living mental breakdown. But anyways, so I had an all-night mental breakdown. I'm going to go to bed now. I'm exhausted. And I will be back here this afternoon to play more video games and talk. And I have been recording this session. It is 14 hours and 45 minutes long. It will be going onto my channel right now. But before I do that, you've been watching Skycatlive. I'm a full-time variety gamer all day, every day. Click on the cast face to donate. It is a PayPal link. Come to the Twitch or the YouTube. Give me a like, sub, or follow. I'm going to stop this video.